All right, we'd like to welcome everyone this evening to Mapleton City Council meeting on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. We have a full quorum this evening. All City Council members present. We'll begin with invocation by Councilman Beck and led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Carlson.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful for the many blessings that we receive from Thee. We're grateful for where we live and for our neighbors and friends around us. We ask Thee for help this evening and guidance as we discuss matters important to our community. We pray for those affected by recent tragedies that they'll have peace and comfort in their lives. We love Thee and we pray these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, we'll begin this evening with our public forum. We have two individuals have signed up, and you're welcome to come together or separate, however you guys want to do it. But Brittany and Jessica, if you guys want to come forward, and or whatever you guys want.
I'll come first.
So Jessica, if you'll just state your name for the record once you...
Okay, my name is Jessica Stevenson, and I'm a resident. Okay, I came here tonight to kind of give a timeline of what our small interest group has done so far on rallying whoever is interested on a skate park. And this, originally, we started having meetings with, Casey Beck was there in most of the meetings that we held together. Also AJ Rounds and a bunch of others that couldn't make it tonight, sadly. But I'm kind of speaking for all of us of what's been done and why we're here. So back in 2022, we started our group to get this all-wheels skate park built. Sorry, my phone's not working very well. At the time, the city was working with experts to develop a current facilities master plan. That plan was posted later in 2022 and included suggestions regarding a skate bike park combined as one facility. Our interest group met regularly through the summer of 2022 to discuss what we could do to build a skate park. Kids and parents made efforts by passing out flyers, entering the city parade, signing petitions at the school, setting up a booth at the park, and getting signatures, pledges, etc. At some point, we decided it was necessary to have land designated for the skate park before raising and collecting funds. During many discussions, we were told that there was property on the south end of town that could be designated for a skate park, but the project could not be finished until developers came in to build roads up to that property, which could take a long time. Because we wanted to expedite the process and we were hopeful that it would be closer in town to make it more accessible, we spoke to Dallas and the city council about designating land somewhere in town. At this meeting, we were told that the land in town was already designated for other future projects, and we were told to ask Nebo School District if they could designate part of a school property for a skate park. I then contacted Kristen Betts, who is over our district, and she was concerned about the legalities and told me she was not able to make the decision. She then directed me to contact Matt Gledhill, who was supposedly over the district properties and risk management. I did get a hold of him over the phone once initially, in which he said that he would get back to me about more information if he could find any. I emailed him, I called him, I even stopped by to catch him in person at his office and received no response. I called Kristen Betts and emailed her again as well, and her response was, perhaps this should be a city community project. And I only took this as the city or the school district is not willing to give up land or take responsibility to build the skate park. So I'm putting it back in the city's hands from this point. As you know, but maybe some of the people in the audience here don't know, in May of 2023, the city negotiated with Edge Homes to donate $3.5 million to be used in developing 30 acres of land. I got this just off your website, to develop the land next to it, which is now known as the bike park. At this time, it's mentioned to be used as a bike park, actually, in your meeting minutes. This is the property that we were told back in 2022 that could be partly designated to build a skate park if all else had failed with doing it in town. The city later sent out a survey in 2024 to gauge what residents' interests were for facilities, and I was very disappointed to find out that a skate park was not included as an option, but the bike park was. To this day, I don't know of any interest groups forming a petition to get a bike park in our community, but I do think it's a great thing. I'm not saying that we don't get a bike park. My son that skates, he also was on the mountain bike park team, the mountain bike team here in Nebo. So I'm just here to tell you that there is still an interest in the all-wheels skate park, and if you want to hear what the community has to say about it, refer back to the post that you made about the bike park. A lot of people that I took their kids in my car a bunch of times to local skate parks because there's nothing in town, their parents said something on those forums, they emailed you, so you guys know that there is an interest, there are kids that want to skate. I heard a few of these designers mention saying that part of the bike park could be skatable, but I will say I took a group of kids just recently. My youngest son, he likes to surf skate. That's another form of skating, and actually the wheels are bigger and could probably go on other terrain. I took them over to the Springville pump track, and they came back early and said it doesn't work. They can't go on the type of pavement that they use for the pump track. So skating specifically needs a certain kind of cement. They don't even like to go to the Spanish Fork skate park because they used a different kind of cement that is rough. I'm sure it cracks easier. I'm sure they did it a long time ago. I tried to call them actually and figure out how they got that skate park on school property because it looks like it is, but once again, nobody could tell me how. They said it happened a long time ago. I reached out to Go Skate Utah. They're a foundation that helps people when they're trying to get a skate park in their community, and they also said they didn't know of any relationship between the school board and the city getting a skate park. So I just want to hit home that it is the city's responsibility, it feels like, to designate an area for the skate park. And if we can just get that, and it sounds like these developers are saying that there is a lot of space, a skate park needs, Lehigh Skate Park is 1/4 an acre. It's pretty small, but it's got all of it in it. My kids love the Lehigh Skate Park. That's the closest one that even has all the things that a skater would want. So I've driven out there many times. The cost is much cheaper than a bike park. Back in 2022, it was about $500,000 to build the Lehigh skate park, and right now it's probably going to cost around $800,000 to $900,000 to build a skate park of that size. So I don't know, I feel like the cost and the maintenance is a lot less, obviously, than a bike park. And I understand, now we have these funds, now we have the way to get up to the property. I just feel like somehow, maybe we can do both. If you guys would tell me this part is for a skate park, I don't mind going around and finding the money. I don't mind going to the developers of Edge Homes. I know Steve Maddox. I used to be a real estate agent for him. I might go to him and say, Steve, you know what your development needs that would bring people in is a skate park. So I'm just asking the city to hopefully make a decision to give it a spot. Just give it a spot at least, and it'd be great if it had some funding and some, backing to that too, but we're at least grateful for a spot. So I hope that's all I had to say, and Brittany will say a few more things
Jessica, I
about
have a
it.
quick question. You're
Yeah.
referencing the skate park in Lehigh. The only one that I've driven by is the one on 2100 North heading east. It's on the north side of the road. Is that the one you're referring to?
In Lehigh,
Yeah.
it's on the west side of the freeway, kind of.
Okay.
That the one you're
It's
talking
west
about?
of the freeway on the north side of 2100 North on the way.
Yeah, north side, northwest side. I have it, like I said, it's been 3 years. My daughter's here today. She drives out to the PG skate park right now. She's getting ready to leave on a mission. My son is a senior. All I've got is a 13-year-old. He's the one that likes to surf skate. So I'm still here trying to.
But that is the
get
Lehigh
through.
one you're referring to.
Yeah, that's the Lehigh one that I'm referring to.
It's on 1/4 of an acre?
Yep, I just asked yesterday about that because it is a good size, 1/4 of an acre. I mean, it's smaller than what you would think. I would love for it to be bigger, of course. We had grand dreams, huh, Casey, about how this could be. But hey, I've come to the point where just give us a small one. There's a really nice one in Ivans in St. George that's about, it's even smaller than that. And my kids love that one. And it has all the things that you would need.
I guess
so.
it depends on how many twists and turns and
Yeah.
loopy loops it has.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll pop in on this one. So while you guys were doing some other things, we had actually held a lot of meetings on our side to figure out how we can do it. Are you familiar with the Carry On Foundation?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we've met with them many times,
Oh,
actually.
good. Oh, good. I like to
And-
hear this. I didn't know this.
So we've met with them, both the curriculum side and the administrative side, because there's a loftier goal here to associate resilience-based education with the curriculum included with skating. So there's some moving pieces that are happening. I would love to see a skate park. My understanding why it wasn't included in that particular survey is because we already were working on things, so we already knew. So that's
I
not.
knew there were
it-
some
yeah.
people behind the scenes. I
Yeah,
just
so
didn't know
there's-
exactly. Once again, I kind of feel like we got a little worn out. We did
Yeah.
a lot at once, and we felt a little defeated. So we kind of,
Well, and I think, to be fair, I think we've probably all had some communication opportunities that could have been
Yeah.
better. I mean, we've had different ones up here kind of working not necessarily at the same time on different things. So
Yeah.
I actually texted them a couple weeks ago, Carry On, and said, when are you building my skate park? And I'm just,
yeah.
they're not funding it or anything, but
Yeah.
But we had talked to them about design and things, and I have some lofty goals that are bigger than a quarter of an acre for
Yeah.
it, and I'd still like to see it move. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna be continuing that
yeah,
conversation.
I
I know
like it.
Mayor's had some conversations. We met with Corey, and there's other locations that have become available since we originally talked about it. My recommendation is to have it at a different location, so people are gathering in different places.
There's a lot of reasons why I would like it in town. Obviously, we talked about that before. But like I said, it's better to have one than not have one, and not in another 10 years.
Well, I love the work you've
So-
put into it, and I'm sure we could use help fundraising, so I love the idea of let's choose a spot and see what we can do.
Hey, I've had a fire in me about this for a long time because I've seen the positive effect that it's had on kids, so.
But it's
Anyways.
got to be well-designed. That's the one
I
thing we've
agree.
learned in talking to
They
all the
said-
experts. It has to be really
I was going to
well-designed.
say, they were hitting that home too. If it's well-designed, it's low maintenance too. Like, you're not going to be spending money fixing it and
Yeah.
having problems with
Well, feel
people
free
getting
to,
injured on cracked surfaces, et
feel free to
cetera.
reach out to me. I'm the one who's kind of been the liaison with that angle of it,
Okay.
but with the city staff as well, so.
And I brought my cousin here today. I take her kids to the skate park as well, and she bikes. She's a biker, and her kids skate as well. So I'm gonna let her talk
Awesome.
a little bit more
Okay.
about it. We're just still trying to fuel the feed of let's keep going on this.
Good job sticking with it, Jessica.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Jessica said about, first of all, being grateful for all the time and effort.
Say,
Oh, sorry, Brittany. I'm Brittany Allred. I've lived in Mapleton for about 10 years, and, well, longer than that if you count time away, but as a early married, but, yeah, just super grateful to all the time and effort that the council members and Dallas have put into getting something like this coming to Mapleton. I think it's going to be a fantastic addition to the city. I've biked since I was little. Since I was 19, I've been riding up Whiting. I've visited pretty much every bike park in the state. I've biked around the country. So again, it's really exciting to see something like this coming to Mapleton. But with all the experience I have biking, I will say that the number of times I have packed up my car full of kids and gone somewhere to do an activity, it's always to a skate park. So many times. And I have kids that have ridden on the mountain bike team, but there's so many barriers to entry when it comes to mountain biking. And again, I don't want to dissuade anybody's excitement for this park. I am a firm believer in the bike park, but it's much more difficult than skating is. Like, I can load 7 kids in a car with scooters, rollerblades, a skateboard, a surf skate. Everyone can have fun, any ability. But when I go biking, it's a very specific activity. First of all, of all of the friends in my own personal neighborhood, and I am not speaking to other neighborhoods, I know plenty of other women that bike, but for my son and his friends, I'm the only mom in our neighborhood that was ever able to take the kids and go biking with them. I was the only one with the skill, not only the skill, but the equipment. Now, anyone can get a bike. You can get a low-grade entry-level bike now for maybe an adult bike, $500. I would love you guys to try to ride a $500 bike down a downhill mountain-like trail, especially some of these trails that are being recommended. It's not fun. And I've also had kids on bikes like that who have wrecked because their brakes haven't been adequate, and you can take a $30 Razor scooter to a skate park and have hours of fun. Hours of fun. So I just want to reiterate, although the bike park is an amazing addition, I think there's something to be said for including and setting aside a small portion of land for a skate park in this vicinity. I think it's really going to improve the crowd that's drawn, the moms that can participate. And when I say moms, I'm not saying that moms are the only caretakers in Mapleton, but moms are the majority caretakers in the Mapleton area, and I can only speak from my own experience. And again, that's coming from someone who has the ability and has taken kids biking. You know, I've taken a bunch of kids in Mapleton biking to places all over. Another thing that prevents kids from going mountain biking is that you have to have a truck. I mean, you can have a car, but you got to have a hitch. You got to have
Bike rack.
a bike rack, you know? And if you have a nice bike, I would like to see any of you try to lift up those bikes onto a bike rack, okay? It's hard. It's really hard. So, yeah, you get older kids, they can do it. My son's old enough, he can drive himself. That's fantastic. But for these young kids, like, there are caretakers who are taking these kids to do these activities, and most of the time, it's like one parent and as many kids as possible, you know, and that's like our community pushing together to like raise these kids and do the best job that we can. And it's just not possible for every mom to be able, you know, every caretaker to be able to take every kid at once. You know, we have to work with each other to spread the job of motherhood and raising these kids. The last thing I want to speak to, because I hear this a lot, is that with a skate park, and it's funny because I talk to kids who skate, and they're like, oh yeah, you get a little riffraff. It's a riffraff that you get at a skate park. And I would just like to remind everybody that this riffraff that we're talking about, like, these are kids, kids that need a safe space to land, and maybe kids who don't have a home that they feel safe in. So they land at a skate park, and what an amazing ability for our community to bring something where these kids will have a place to join together, to be outside. I mean, I would way rather have my kids outdoors than inside on a screen, you know, doing whatever they do inside. I'm constantly pushing my kids to get outside. It is so good for them, you know. So I just want to, you know, reiterate, I just want this plan to be something that all the residents of Mapleton can enjoy, no matter income level, no matter what kind of equipment they have, no matter what kind of family situations going on for them. It should be something that everyone should be able to enjoy. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Agreed. Thanks, Brittany. That was a great presentation. I think we could agree with you on all that. The whole riffraff thing can, I mean, be said about anything. So the fact is we got kids in our community that need a place to go, and we got to provide those opportunities, which is one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. But stay here, because we'll go through these other items probably pretty quick, and then we'll be right back on this, and let's have some more discussion about this. All right. Let's go to our consent agenda items. We'll look for a motion, or if anyone
Mayor
has
and council, just one quick update on item 2 with the Ford F-150. In the staff report, we mentioned that came in from Ken Garf as far as a trade-in of $9,000. When Chief Jackson went up to finalize things, they're now saying they won't give us $9,000 for that. They'll give us $6,136. Obviously, as you know, this truck's, it's had its day. In fact, I don't even think we can, it's not even drivable right now. So with that said, we're still proposing to move forward with the same proposal
They're
we
willing to
had.
give us $6,000 for a non-drivable vehicle?
That's kind of where we're at.
Sold.
If not, we're going to be stuck trying to sell it ourselves, and
Where did the 9,000 come from? Did they throw that out?
9,000 came from the original phone call, and then they wanted
It was a phone call, no observation. Okay.
I personally was actually kind of surprised that they
We
said
were
9,
too, yeah.
So I don't have any problem with it.
okay.
Okay, so motion.
So can we approve it just as is, or do we need to make an amendment, or
Yeah, just to approve it with, just recognizing that it went from 9,000 to 6,000, 136.
136. Right down to the-
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, noting that the trade-in value, right here, item number 2, just acknowledging that the value of the, trade-in value of the Ford F-150 is $6,136, not the $9,000 mentioned in the staff report.
Correct. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jones and a second by Councilman Beck.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
All right, let's go on to our discussion item then. Let's get back on to our bike park, skate park discussion. Number 5. Excuse me. Number 5, discussion on the 30% design submittal for the Mapleton Bike Park. Mr. Minor.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Sean, are you getting the clicker? Okay. While he's getting that figured out, I just want to say thank you to Brittany and Jessica. Jessica, I first time meeting Brittany, but definitely have had a lot of good interactions with Jessica, and she's been great and definitely a good advocate for it. So thanks for coming. Like noted, we just want to get some feedback on where we're at in the design process. As part of this process goes, once we get past a 30% design, we don't want to go backwards in design. That's when we start costing us more money to move things and change things. And so that's really why we're here today, is to really talk through some of those elements. We're super excited about this project. I feel like we've hired a great team. We've got Sunrise Engineering, and they have a great team with GBD Design and with Avatrails. And so we'll do a combined effort here on our presentation to kind of go through all the different elements of the bike park, and then look for feedback on some of those elements. So another big piece of this that I just want to make sure is stated is, as we've taken the time to do a facilities master plan and a trails master plan, these types of projects are a product of those plans. And so a lot of the thought process and the intentional thoughts that went in we're now getting to see the reward of that. And specifically when it comes to the trails, this will serve as a major trail head to the larger trail network. And Jay with Avid will talk a little bit more about that. But I just wanted to note that, the plans that we've done and where we're at with it really is a great product. And now we get to see, such a great potential project moving forward. So, thank you. So with that, just a little bit of the context, as was noted in the staff report. We did start this process back in 2022. And did a public survey to try to gain some feedback on it, received about 430. If you recall, that was also part of the Trails Master Plan survey, and then residents could opt to then take, answer questions specific to the bike park itself. So we had about 670 respond to the Trails Master Plan, and then of that, 420-ish responded with the bike park. And then from there, we refined what that feedback was, substantiated any of the data that came in, did our own research, worked with Avatrails back in 2022 and 2023 to refine and come up with the concept plan. And that's really what guided the concept plan that was shown back in 2023 in the adoption of the Trails Master Plan. And then from there, as was noted, we were waiting for development and funding to be in place to then move the project forward. That now has happened, and so we're now in this process where we've hired Sunrise to to finalize our design, get through our process, hopefully help us secure some funding, and then go to construction in the spring. So with that, I will turn the time to Jay, I believe, first, and then we'll just go from there.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Jay Heschler, Avid Trails. Great to see some of the familiar faces again. We worked with a lot of you guys on the original Trails Master Plan. And I think just for context, the Trails Master Plan is up there. It's not facing you very well, but the bike park is a teeny tiny part of the whole master plan. And so, thank you very much, John. So, this small little postage stamp is, a microcosm of the entire Trails Plan. What I like about that location, and first of all, Brittany and Jessica, I can't say enough how much I agree with you guys. Our entire mission is to get people outside. And whether you're on a bike or you're hiking or you're bird watching or you're on a skateboard, it doesn't matter. Get people outside, get families outside, because that's where the magic happens. The great part about this site in relationship to Mapleton is it is accessed by the existing paved path. So we believe that people are going to ride their bikes there. And I totally get how hard it is to put a bike in the back of a truck. There's no question about it. But our hope is that whether you're on a skateboard or on a bike, that people are going to drive there, but we want people to ride their bikes there. So that's the main context of the overall master plan. I think now, you want me to just kind of jump right into the plan? Okay. For context, this is open space above Harmony Ridge. There is a brand-new road that goes up there, so now access is very easy. There's some existing lots that are under construction, some houses under construction. At this park, we have very focused family design. And so pretty decent-sized parking lot. I'll let the Sunrise and the G Brown guys go into the niceties about the common space, but there's restrooms, there's a lot of shade, there's a lot of seating. We know that when people go and ride bikes, they get hot and sweaty, and so having some shade, having some water, place to cool off is really, really important. Does this have a pointer on it? Yeah. Whoa. Too many things. Yeah, okay, I'll start here with big context. User error. Okay, this ridge, this area here is basically the ridge line. And so everything, and the plan is north is off to the left. So everything to the east is basically level up here, more or less. It's the first bench going up to the foothills, and then everything below this line is downhill. And so this is what we will call the bike park core. There are 2 asphalt pump tracks. There is a cross-country skills area. And then there's a hub that we'll talk about here that's kind of a central meeting place. And then from this hub area, we have several different downhill trails that are all designed to be progressive. So green, blue, and black. The green is going to be very easy. Any first-time rider, no problem going down it. There's actually a mile-long pedal trail that comes up through the newly acquired, I believe this was maybe part of a land swap with Harmony Ridge, but this open space is now the climbing trail. So there's a lot of old trails in Utah that were built by horses, motorcycles, and they go straight up the hill. We call those fall line trails. They're terrible to go up on a bike or even hiking. So this climb trail that we've designed is about 4%, easy pedal up. The idea is that people can session these. You ride up to the hub, you go down. The downhill trails are about 80% of a mile, so 1/8 of a mile. So a pretty decent size run down. You can climb back up, and you can do that all day long. So that'll be a nice thing. And then I think I will go to the bike park core now. Here's a closer view of this. So now we are oriented true north. So you come in the parking lot. Again, I'll let G Brown and Sunrise talk about the kind of the structures. But in this plan, we have a beginner pump track, and these are asphalt, by the way. We designed and built the all-wheels park in West Jordan, and also the all-wheels park in Eagle Mountain called Firefly. If you have a chance to get to those, please go see them. They are all wheels. They're definitely skate and bike friendly, and the idea is that whether you're on a bike or skateboard, you kind of go seamlessly between the experiences. The asphalt that we use is very smooth, so it's very skatable. It's a much more flowy, surf style is exactly right. Super fun on a skateboard, but roller skates, inline skates, what have you. It's very important to point out that this beginner pump track is lower, it's easier, you can be on a Strider bike. We want to kind of separate the uses. So whether you're a beginner skateboarder, beginner bicycle, you're on a Strider bike with no pedals, you go to the beginner track. And then the bigger track is intermediate advanced. It's much more, it's longer, it's steeper, it's bigger, it's got more opportunities to jump. But important to point out that all these designs are progressive. We want low barrier of entry. We want kids coming in. We want moms, first-time rider. If you can ride a bike, you can ride a pump track. And so, but the tracks are designed that the better you get, the more fun you have on it, so you keep coming back. You go to the north here, and then there's about 1.5 miles of cross-country trails. If you're a runner, if you like a more cross-country mountain bike experience, it's not as steep. It's still beautiful topography, weaves through the trees, lots of shade opportunities. And then this hub area that we talked about, and I think we've got a detail of that. This hub sits at the ridge. So nice big meeting area. It's a great view. We got the flags up there. We got some shade. It's very accessible from the main park. So even if you're not on a bike, you come up here and look at the view. But the idea is that all roads come off this hub.
How big is that hub approximately?
That hub is probably about the size of this little area here. So
Oh, so
call
not-
it, 30 feet across or so. Yeah.
Fairly, relatively small.
Yeah, right. So we like a decent scale that's enough room for, 15 bikes. Some seating up there, but every one of these things is a little portal to, if you're on the beginner run, if you're on the intermediate run, you're on the black run, they are well signed, and these are just drop-ins down that hill. So nice little experience there with the hub.
Not a place to hang out, a place to come in, pass through, and move on.
You could hang out there. It's okay. What we like about a hub experience is, regardless of your skill level, you're a family. You've got some high school kids who are very good riders. You got some younger kids who are not. You're an old guy like me, and you're an intermediate rider. Doesn't matter. You all start from the same place, and you all meet at the same place again. So it's very much a unifier. But yes, you could hang out there, and it's okay, just because the view's awesome. I'll let the guys go through some of these details, and I think, if there's any discussion, if you guys have questions, we're here.
Thanks, Jay.
Tell me if I'm speaking too loud or quietly. So good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. As stated before, my name is Brian Nicholas with G. Brown Design. See if I can do this correctly. There we go. Our firm's role and the responsibility as part of the design team was to refine and build upon the previously approved schematic plan. So the overall direction we used as precedents is what we've termed rustic adventure. So I'll go through the current design and provide a brief description of the important and key elements, but please feel free to ask me questions along the way. So as this park will be a hub for the larger citywide trail system, the important goal is to accomplish will be for the design to accommodate all citizens of Mapleton. This includes not just the various users of the pump tracks and trails, but families with children, the park goers, hikers, joggers, and hopefully skateboarders. So with that in mind, the proposed playground, let me see if I can, right here. So it's going to have inclusiveness in mind. It's going to hopefully accommodate children with all abilities and all ages. So, and then we also want to incorporate natural materials to kind of play off the rustic adventure, right? So wood, boulders, ropes, and try to avoid plastics as much as possible. We also want to incorporate, let me get to it. Yeah, so let me earthen tunnels and slides, kinetic swings, log piles, and log jams. From a safety standpoint, we do intend on using pour-in-place rubber or engineered wood fibers where major fall zones do exist. But as shown in the present images, we do want to implement some topography, gently rolling hills that have some native seed over it that can be easily maintained by the city. And then we want to incorporate the equipment into the hills. So just, again, try to make an adventure for the kids that are there. Another key element is providing shade. So one of the things about parks and playgrounds is it gets hot, and people sometimes have issues with the heat. So we want to we incorporated the large pavilion and this right here. So this pavilion is going to have, it's going to be multi-use space, and it's going to have areas for seating, benches, people to have picnics. There's going to be water fountains, and it's just going to have just amenities again for everybody. We also incorporated multiple shade areas that you can see here. So this is going to be another picnic, seating, eating area for everybody. So not just the people using the pond tracks or the trails, but people wanting to use the open lawn area, families, and anybody. We also incorporated 2 additional small pavilions for each pump track, and then also shade cells again for some significant nodes in the site. So again, the pavilion will have, we're intending on having it have multiple unisex restrooms. It is going to be probably a little bit larger than what we're showing here, but it's going to be hopefully a pretty cool key element. And then we've also included benches along the main pathway, here, and a couple more seating areas here. And so those will be shaded by trees. And so I think the other intent on the shade was, you can see it's very heavily planted with trees, and that was intentional. We want to make sure that this park is a part of the open space that we're taking up, and not just a commercialized, desolate area, right? We want it to be an actual part of the community and part of the open space. So we wanted to have as many trees as possible. And then for the other key elements, we have this large plaza that we incorporated connecting the park and the parking lot. And we implemented the city's logo, and then we also wanted to have a ranch-style entry gate here. And so these are kind of paying homage of the city's history, right? The agricultural barn-raising history. So we wanted to incorporate some of that into the design as well. And also, some ideas that we're playing off of is trying to bring some of the citizens into the park, like how we can bring them in. So a couple of our ideas were to allow people to donate some bricks into the plaza and put their names on it. Or we could do donor walls on the pavilions where we could use reclaimed barn wood, and maybe they can put their name on like a piece of wood and they can be part of that, right? So we wanted to incorporate or somehow bring citizens into the park. We think it's hopefully going to be a staple of the community, right? Not just, it's a great mountain bike park, but it's also part of the larger Overtrail system, and it's a destination. So we want it to be a place that people are proud of, can bring their kids, and anybody that's visiting Mapleton can come and really be impressed with what we've done. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, but.
I love the legacy element with the bricks.
Yeah.
There's even the All Abilities Park in Orem, when it opened, we bought a plank for it with my son's name just because we were like, ooh, let's be part of an All Abilities. So I love that. I think a lot of people want to participate in that, and that'll be good for us, and people will feel a sense of ownership. Question is, we're talking about water conservation, artificial turf versus natural grass in that big swath of turf. What's the discussion or argument for or against there?
My approach on that would be to incorporate native seed as best as possible. I prefer that in terms of, one, it's just a softer look, and I don't mind having artificial turf, but from the aesthetic that we're going for, I don't think it really fits. And if we can pick species that are appropriate and water thrifty, I think that would be more of a success than artificial turf.
Okay.
It does work, but I think it would kind of be almost contradicting what we're trying to achieve here.
I don't personally have a preference. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure we've looked at all the
Yeah,
things.
our,
Yeah.
so, our trees and our shrubs and our perennials will also be chosen with city water use in mind, not irrigating irresponsibly, what our water windows are, and, yeah, just making sure that they're appropriate. We do have direction from the Parks and Maintenance crew to incorporate perennials, so you're going to have plenty of color. It's going to be really cool. So I am excited about that part of it.
I'm not sure if this is a question for you, Brian, or Logan, or Jay, or someone else, but do you know how many acres each pump track is, and the playground as well?
I think that'd be more of a question for Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing on the water conservation side too is really that main central area is really the only irrigated grass. Everything else we tried really hard to design with conservation in mind, where it's literally just natural vegetation and very little irrigated space. Like Brian mentioned, definitely we'll have some color and foliage to help with the curb appeal of it, but I do think that we tried really hard to be intentional on mitigating as much of it, but still provide a good experience for those coming. So,
Will
and
that
then
be
as,
PI water or culinary water up that high?
it will be PI
It'll be
Eventually.
eventually.
Soon, soon.
That's what I thought. It'd take a little bit to get it up there.
Yeah, our starting next year, in design and then moving forward on construction, my next focus is to get that upper zone built out, yeah.
Yeah, as far as space, so this top portion is roughly about 6 acres of flat space. So total project is just about 50 acres, once you include the parcel that was originally dedicated for it, and then now the newly, part of the development agreement with Harmony Ridge. The playground area is about 16,000 square feet. And then, Jay, I don't know the other ones off the top of my head, but.
Well, I was going to say the big pump track is probably about 15,000 square feet, and so it looks a lot bigger than that play area. Tracks that we build, the big ones, about 15,000 square feet is a good size. The small track is about half of that, 7,500. So,
By point of reference for that, you said the playground's approximately 16,000 square feet. Just for reference, what is the Spanish Fork All Abilities Park?
I believe the total park is about 11 acres, if I remember right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I mean, the 16,000 square feet is close to a quarter acre.
Got it, okay, yeah.
And if you were to integrate a skate park, where would it go?
Jumping the gun. Truthfully, the location that I do feel, if it does get included, would be in the playground area.
And then relocate playground to the central area, or?
Unless we come up with different funding, then my proposal would be we remove the playground and supplement the money that's towards that for a skate park.
I think the playground is important if you're looking to deal with all family.
Yeah, I
options,
agree.
so-
It definitely becomes.
And the funding.
Yes, that's a larger, obviously, as you all know, we do have a substantial amount to put towards this, but even as, this week on Monday, we interviewed with the Outdoor Recreation Committee on our grant for the 2.8 million. Hopeful, we felt like we had a great presentation, but, ultimately, we're hinging on trying to find other funds to help get it built as well. So, we're trying to definitely look at all avenues, keep the family in mind, and so.
Is the rectangular area by the playground, is that a tennis court, pickleball? Is that?
No, that's the bathroom pavilion facility.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
One question. I by no means do I want to try to micromanage this design. I'm trying to get my head around it from a scale standpoint. How have you considered, our growth, right? As the world looks today, we're at 15,000 people, we're going to double in size. How has that informed I asked a question about the hub. I'm not challenging, I love the vision, I love the idea. What I'm thinking in my mind, because we know that there will be people that come from outside of our city, for example. So I'm just curious if you could speak to that as you've designed this, some of those gathering spaces.
It's a great question. and we do try to really think about how people move around the space, how it looks on a very busy weekend. Thinking about expansion, it's hard to see on that map, but if you can orient the tiny postage stamp of the bike park, then you look at the massive bench that's up there that has a lot more bike and multi-use trails. And as Logan said at the beginning, this will be a trailhead. And in fact, the trailhead, I think, is at the top. That's the connection to the Bonneville Shoreline Trail up there. And so we do believe people will park here and then head up into the hills. They'll ride the pump track for a little while, they'll do the flow, then they'll climb up and they'll go ride for 2 hours and come back. And, I do think the place is properly scaled for a legit bike park, a legit regional bike park.
And it's certainly prioritizes additional phases, right, to build out those other parts of the trail.
Yeah, and I don't remember, and Jay, maybe you remember, I believe it was about 25 miles of bike-optimized trails
In this plan.
on the
Oh, on that plan,
the
yeah.
larger plan, about 1.5 miles in this one total.
Yeah, this one's probably closer to 4
Is
or
it?
so,
Okay.
yeah. So it's packed a lot in there, but it's a comfortable amount of trail.
Okay.
Logan, on this southwest corner here, what's the topo right here versus here? You said that there's 6 acres or more or less flat here, but what does it do right here? You got a little topo for this track and this track, or no?
Nope.
It's still level to here?
Those, pretty much everything you're seeing here is is
The flat spot up top,
as,
right?
as flattest as it can be. There will be, and Sunrise will talk a little bit about this on just some of the constraints with the elevations, because we may, with some utilities that currently exist there, that we may have to have some different elevation changes.
Sure.
But where, just adjacent to the west of where you're showing where the downhill jump lines are, that's where the topography really starts to go down.
Yeah. So is it an option in this other area here? I don't know if this is like natural landscape here that you're showing here. I mean, I know we've got turf here. I would assume maybe this stays natural with the rest of this, that there's any other space on top of there that we could incorporate some kind of skate park if we decided to go there and not get rid of what we have? I mean, what's your thought on that, Jay? What's your opinion based on this location? There's still another location I want to talk about that's, I think, is an option, but I want to know what your opinion is here.
Real quick, I would say that.
Both of you, Logan and Jay.
Yeah, I would say one of the constraints and/or things I'd be a little concerned on that space is just the adjacent homeowners and how close it would be to them. The design is trying to be thoughtful of potential future homeowners there and trying to provide some sort of buffer from them. So that would be one thing. And then ultimately, the grass area is meant to be a gathering area. It doesn't have to be a gathering area. So you ask, is there another place? I mean, obviously, there's a huge space in the middle, right? It's just from a design is a great spot.
When we were thinking about transposing a bike park on here, how much actual square footage or acreage is the turf itself on this design?
It's like
I'd
it's
say
a half an acre
probably,
if it's the-
yeah, I'd say it's not much.
So if you transpose a 1/4 acre on top of that, it would take up the whole space, basically.
Yeah.
And, there is a lot of space up there. If the request is to put skate in with these other uses, I think there's room. It's going to require redesign, but I think that there's room to do it. And so,
I've been to a few pump tracks, and I guess I have maybe only been to ones that are for little kids. Do you have any pictures of the, I guess, differences between the two pump tracks to kind of show, how one is intermediate and one is beginner?
I don't know that we have any in this deck, but I can certainly pull some up and share them. We've got some on our website. But in simple terms, the beginner track is going to be, so tracks want to be built on flat land, just like a skate park. You want to start with a flat pad. Everything is built up from there. So the berms, the rollers, that's all built up. And so the smaller track, berms would probably be 2 feet tall. And, mellow, simple. Berms would be probably 3 feet tall. You go to the bigger track, and they're probably closer to 4 feet or so and steeper. And so it's just, you can always ride at the bottom of the steeper track and be just fine, but if you're a good rider, it allows you to kind of go up and use your momentum to ride that wall.
So I've been to,
Trying to get rid of that, the beginner track and put skate right there.
that's what I was thinking
So,
as well.
so I would counsel this. We have made that decision a couple times in the past. The problem is that when you get beginners on the same track as advanced people, it's chaos.
Yeah, I
And so the little kids are on striders, and the little kids are kind of going, they're playing, they're going wherever they want, which is great. But if you got people that really want to ride and need that line, there's a bunch of kids in the way.
For efficiency, could you, I mean, now isn't necessarily the time to talk design, and I don't know anything about this. Could you wrap the kids' track around the other one and then use that spot?
Sure, yeah, I think that there is room to redesign this plan to put skate in it. It's just, it would require a redesign. But I do believe
I'm
that
still
there
not
is
sure
room
I
to
would
do
want
that.
it at the same place, too.
I think that's the conversation for, as far as a skate park, do we want it here or do we want it in one, that's really.
Right,
Because
Well,
I
we gotta
love,
decide.
I love this design. I think it's beautiful,
Yeah,
and
I
I
agree.
also envision the skate park somewhere else.
Logan, do you know if Springville and Saratoga, do you know if those are more beginner pump tracks? Oh, no, it's okay.
They're both. So Springville's is a beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
Okay.
Yeah, Springville has 2 tracks.
Yeah.
There's this beginner track, and
Right.
then there's a more advanced one right next to it.
Right.
For that very reason.
Okay.
Is there any plans for picnic tables or where people would eat, or would we encourage them to go someplace else to picnic?
No, yeah, there is, so under the pavilion, there'll be picnic tables, and then there'll also be some of these shade structures placed strategically in different areas in kind of what I like to call little pocket picnic areas, where, you can meander down through some of the open space and just be able to sit down and have lunch or just sit and enjoy your time that way. I'll have Taylor wrap up with Sunrise, and then we can go back to any other questions and things that you have. Take this back.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Taylor Torgerson with Sunrise Engineering. I'm the project engineer on this project, dealing with the more civil side of it. So they brought me up last to talk about the most exciting part of it, the infrastructure and the parking lots. So let me get to this overview picture here. Now, things like that, the sidewalks, the parking lots, they're not glamorous by any means, but they are still very important, and they're important to get those right to help with the user experience in the park. Great example that you can see here on that is the parking lot itself, actually. We did some research into what the typical cars are that you would find at a bike park like this and what sizes of racks they usually hang off their back. And they're a lot larger than you'd see in a standard parking lot. I mean, those are frustrating enough to drive in without having 3 feet of bike rack hanging off the back of your car. So the parking lot is a little bit bigger to account for that, to let the cars move through easier. The stalls are angled to help people come in and out a lot easier, hopefully making it simpler and a better experience for the residents and visitors that may be coming out of town to use it. We're also looking with the paths around the park, trying to make sure there's a good flow for everybody as they leave the parking lot to go between the playground areas, the different pump tracks around the site, the pavilion. It's a nice wide path that'll allow for bikes and pedestrians to be going past each other as they move through the site, and serves as a good hub, not just for this park as they've been talking about, but the future expansions into other trails in the area. So up at we talked about it a little up the north end right there. We have all of our trails coming out of the parking lot where you can go over to the bike park or go up to that hub and then connect into a future trail system that heads out to the north. So this park, again, it's not sexy to talk about these boring infrastructure type things, but it's important that we get them right to help with the flow through the site, and it's definitely something we've been looking at and really considering here. I think with that, Logan, wrap it up.
Yeah, so again, we're super excited about it. This, at least for me, has been a long time coming. I think it's a great project. I think it'll be well-versed for the community. I do think that the barrier entry will be low, and we have thoughtfully, considered all of those things to try to make it a very family-centric design. So with that, any questions or additional thoughts? And then obviously anything on the skate park specifically. So staff has a little direction.
Our civil guy, remind me of his name? Taylor. You didn't mention the width of the sidewalk. I know we're early in design, but typically in this, what would be the width of the sidewalk you'd recommend that goes throughout?
We're looking at like 10, 12 feet.
Okay.
You'd see like a standard, kind of like a standard trail that seems to leave enough room for someone biking
Yeah.
and someone walking.
I just want to make sure. Okay, sounds good. Yep, for sure. I just want to make sure. The wider the better. Yep.
This is really exciting to see. Just having a few kids that I know would love this, I'm really excited to see this happen. And so thanks, everyone, for all the work that you've done.
Yeah. One note too, just from a connection piece. It's kind of hard, but the Parkway Trail is down on the west side of the park that was noted. We also have a newly paved trail that comes up Harmony Ridge Parkway that then, connects to this park as well. And then eventually, the trails master plan, and I think Rob will actually mention a little bit this later, but we have the trail that'll go down Highway 89 that will then connect with this as well. And then that is also the same trail network that connects to Spanish Fork. So from a location standpoint and from a safety standpoint, I do feel like there's a lot of good connectivity that even kids on bikes and scooters and things can just jump on our paved trail that we currently have and be able to access it without having to be in city streets. And truthfully, very little crossings as well, so.
I think it's exciting, and I think the funds that you mentioned, the grant matching funds that you're working on is great, and this can be an incredible amenity for our city. So I appreciate all of those from start to finish, Mayor, on to this meeting, who have contributed to make it happen. Regarding the skate park, I'm very personally indifferent on the topic, but I know there's a lot of support in our community. I think I don't personally see any reason not to do it. I appreciate Councilmember Egbert's effort on the Carry On Foundation. I think having that component to it, I don't remember all the details on it, but I think having that component with it, I think can add to the safe space or the safe landing that your sister-in-law mentioned, to add some additional value. I also agree that having different activity zones throughout the city I support that. And I am interested to know, I don't know if the bike park could be placed at one of our other locations. I don't know, the 12 acres, you got 20 acres over at Sunrise Ranch. Sunrise Ranch. I'm just putting those out there as potential sites. So tonight, I think the question is, do we want it here or do we want to explore other?
Yeah, and just make sure, you said bike park, are you saying skate park?
I did, that's exactly what
Okay.
I meant. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep,
Just-
thank you for
just
that.
make
Yep,
sure
thank you
clarify.
for that check, that fact check. Yes, thank you.
Were there other locations that were potential for skate park? You mentioned Sunrise Ranch.
Yeah, there's a few other options. They're not like options right now on the table but there's a few things going through my mind. I have some discussions with Corey about some things that have been submitted recently, so I wanted to go back through that. So maybe what we ought to do is, Jessica, we'll circle back to the meeting again, the previous ones that we've had. Corey, we'll have you set that up, and then let's go back to that and see if we can bring some of that together and then come back with that
Yeah.
proposal. How's that sound?
I do love
I
the
know.
equitable
She has
distribution
been-
of resources in the
Yes.
city is a lovely thing. So as much as it would be efficient there, I also like it being more in the valley as well,
Yeah.
so. there might be a
Jessica's been a
traffic
bit
issue.
strong proponent of it and has been texting me nonstop for a year and a half,
Just to,
saying that this needs to get done. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing. I think it's critical for our city. And I really do think there might be two more options there. And so I think that we just have to circle back and have some discussions about that.
My only comment, other than what I've already said, is I love this project so much. It's a beautiful legacy piece. It's so on brand for who we're trying to be as a city. I have a 9-year-old who I would love to learn more about biking and being outside and have fun with his friends and have other options. And so, I've got nothing but good. It's beautiful. I love the thoughtfulness on the civil side. My husband's a civil designer, so he would be drooling over the sexiness of the sidewalks. He's watching right now. But I am so proud of this, Logan. Thanks for leading this initiative. It's amazing, and the mayor's been so involved in securing the land. I know so many staff have been involved, so I will be very proud to see this happen for our community.
just want to give my thoughts on the skate park. I actually am supportive of putting the skate park here. And I definitely agree with all that's been said as far as having a playground there, having, parks in other parts of the city as well. It just, we have funding now for this, and, we have 3.5 million, potentially more with matching grants. We have a group of citizens that have fought for this for several years. They've said that they'll fundraise, which will contribute to us winning grants for that. Also, it's in part of town that hasn't been developed, and so new owners would know what they're getting into when they move to over here. We're trying to get Sur-Ron bikes off our roads and off the sidewalks, and so it's nice that they'd have a place to go to. I'm also interested in getting more youth off the mountain, where they have trampolines up there and couches up there and rope swings up there. And so having the funding here for a potential skate park and place for them to go, I think would increase the chances of getting them off the mountain in a safer place.
I happened to think of one other question that I had. Seeing that that's kind of a central area for all the trails and outdoor activities, is the plan for the restroom to be seasonal or year-round?
I don't know if we got that far into the design yet, so definitely something we've talked about, but as far as what it's going to be, that'll come at a different phase. I will say, to the note of, parking lots and restrooms, you can never build them big enough, right? It just never meets demand. But with that in mind, we are trying our best to do that. We'll also have other key trailheads along the network that will have restroom facilities. In fact, there'll be one just a little bit north of this, next to the Parkway Trail in Mapleton Village. Is that correct, Sean? Heights, sorry. That one will also have a bathroom that's right there adjacent to the trail. So,
It'll be year-round?
yes, well, potentially.
Okay.
Just real quick, just a curiosity, when you're building bike parks like this, how do you create the ratio with parking? How do you forecast that? That's just a curiosity to me.
Yeah.
It's a sexy question you just asked.
Well, apparently, maybe I should have a career change.
Yeah, well, I know when Jay and I first did it, we kind of just took a stab at the dark and just said,
Oh,
whoa,
really?
103 looks great. Now Taylor, I think, can probably talk a little bit more on actually going out and measuring and, but again, with that in mind, we can go out and look and measure, but there's really not
Okay.
how to measure demand is all dependent on what is there. And again, you'll never
There's not
meet.
necessarily a methodology that gets down to some great
Not-
ratio.
I mean, not that I'm aware of, I don't know.
All right, I'm just curious. Okay, I was just curious.
Anecdotal, we'll look at other parks, we'll look, Trailside in Park City, they have a huge parking lot, but they're next to ball fields, they're next to a school. And so we will do we'll do parking lot counts at other bike parks. And, my goal, I would love people to ride their bikes to this park. And so, do you underpark it a little bit to make people say,
Well,
well,
I would imagine with a bike park, I mean, there will be far more riding to the bike park than those who might skate to a skate park.
That is correct.
Right?
That is
So
correct.
that's a different user experience. Yeah.
right. So, but it feels comfortable, and I think there's a lot of street parking around the corner as well.
Okay,
So-
I was just curious, thank you.
We ought to charge Springfield residents.
Any other
I'll
thoughts?
just pipe up and say, I agree with what everybody said. I've been excited about this for many years, and this is really, really a cool design. Having read through the staff report, but not seeing the visuals, and now seeing the visuals, it's super exciting to see where these are going and how big this is compared to that, and super, super stoked by this design. I tried to nitpick it and didn't really find anything that I didn't like about it, so I really love it. As far as the parking goes, I've been to several other regional mountain bike parks with my sons, and I think this is ample parking. If we have any other amenities, then it might draw more cars in the area, but just from my experience in going to other bike parks in the northern part of Utah, I think this is plenty of parking from my perspective. But overall design, I'm really excited about. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And do you have any specific thoughts on the skate park?
The skate park, I'm kind of, I wouldn't mind it being here. I would love to, having walked this property, there's a little bit of land on the north side of where the kids' playground is that I think is pretty flat, that it might be an option, I don't know. But to me, I'm really kind of either way. My original thought on having it at this location was a little bit tricky because it's so up on the hill, and for kids in the neighborhood that want to skate to the skate park would be that's a really steep hill to skate your skateboard up to. to be able to skate to the skate park, I think it would be, there's other potential places in the city that would be a little bit more advantageous in that regard. But I really don't, I mean, if we can make it fit here and everybody, it's kind of a big joint family gathering, then I'm all for it. But I'm also leaning towards finding another location.
Okay. And one thing we could do, if it's helpful for council, is we do have our topo survey that we could look at and see, to your point on, if looking at those elevations and the topography, and see if there was, some other areas that were adjacent, to it. That's something that we surely can do and report back if that was an interest.
I actually think the point you just made about skating to the park and accessing the park and the ages, I think that's a valid point. I actually hadn't even thought about that myself, is going up the hill to the top and thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe that's odd. Again, we already have citizens who are talking about how we haven't distributed amenities throughout, so I am concerned about that as well. But I think that point was valid, is these kids skating to the skate park is a good point.
Well, that's a question. I mean, I have zero experience in this world whatsoever. Having a skate park, are kids inclined to skate to the skate park? Do kids have mom drive them just because it's too far? What's the culture around a skate park?
Driving. You have to state your name for us.
Kelty Stevenson. I've skated for like 6 years now, and even if a skate park for me, like maybe if I was younger, but even just being like maybe like 0.6 miles away from my house, I don't know if I would skate there, just because it's a lot of effort and energy. Besides like riding a bike, like that's pretty easy and low energy. Riding a skateboard, it's like a lot of work since the wheels are so small and everything. So I mean, unless I was younger, I probably wouldn't even skate.
Okay, that's my assumption. That's what I would assume. Riding a bike to a bike park seems very, very natural, very intuitive to me. So that's what I would assume.
Great, thanks,
We're also, we're also mentioning skate park a lot, but the intent was to be an all-wheels park, right? And I've taken my kids to a couple skate parks, and they're not skaters. We've biked there and taken our scooters there, and so just to kind of clarify that point as well.
Well, and fundamentally, what we have here is an all-wheels park. Because on a paved pump, there really isn't a barrier for anybody that couldn't do it. So, I mean, Jay, unless you think otherwise, I think we are encapsulating an all-wheels park, but.
Yep.
Will there be night lighting or on the bike trails or just the parking lot, or do you have plans?
Yeah, good question. I think we actually failed to note that. We are planning to include lighting on the pump areas and then the downhill jump line, and then parking lot as well. And then there'll be a little bit of just safety, like bollard lighting around the trail or the sidewalk that goes around the park. There'll be some safety, those 3-4 foot tall bollard lighting that will have some light to it.
Could we do cross-country skiing up there in the winter?
Very well could.
Throw that
Will
out.
we be ice blocking?
I'm sure we can find all sorts of activities.
Yeah.
That's important.
Okay. Anything
Kelsey,
else?
my skate park was the steepest hills you could find when I was a kid, so those roads that come out of that neighborhood, I'd be going 90 miles an hour down them. So Logan, great job putting this together. When we started this Trails Master Plan back years ago, I mean, this stuff just takes forever. Government just takes forever, But something about this, a city of our size, to be able to get the land at no cost and then get $3.5 million cash. And now we're submitting, currently working with the governor to get a statement from him to support us on this outdoor recreation grant. And he's going to provide it for us, which probably means we're going to get it. And it's unbelievable for a city of our size, because if you try to get that money out of the budget, you're not getting it. You're not doing this. You're just not. It's not an option. So it's just another thing that's important to realize, that for a city of our size to get this is not just, oh, sweet, we got this. It's like, this is unbelievable,
Yeah.
Yeah, so just another reason to be very excited about it, especially coming to our city. There are some other potential spots for the bike park, or excuse me.
Skate park.
confusing all this together. The skate park, and I'll work with Corey on that. We'll get together and have that meeting, and then we'll report back to Jessica and her group, and then get them involved the way, you know, they've got a lot of people, momentum, get them involved in a way where we can pull this off.
Great.
Mayor,
And we're also going to do it the same way we did this. We're going to get somebody else to pay for it. If I'm doing it with you, someone else is paying for it. The city's not. And I'm confident there's a couple places we could do that.
Mayor, do you feel like these other options are these things that could be vetted out in the short term or
Yes.
6 months
Very
out? or
Very
what?
short term.
Okay.
So, next 3 to 6 months. So, thank you, Logan. Team, put together a great team. Good job. You got lots of experience. No one talked about the storm drain in the parking lot, but I'm sure you got it, Taylor. We'll get into those details later, where our retention is and detention, whatnot, off that hill. We'll figure all that out. So, from here, Logan, what's the next step? Where are you going?
Yeah, that's what I was actually just going to end with. So from here, we'll go to a 60% design, and then to 90% design, and then right into construction docs and bid, which will be at the first of next year.
Will we see it at each of those paces or not? Or is what's,
You're more than welcome to. This is probably going to be the prettiest picture you'll see.
I got it.
The rest of
Okay.
them will probably be more construction-related documents. I'm happy to share any information, or just when we hit those milestones, I'm happy to report back. But yeah, and then we'll also be pursuing other grants coming out from the Utah Outdoor Rec in the springtime. Those are additional grants that are on top of the Outdoor Recreation Initiative, so.
Goal for groundbreaking on this.
Groundbreaking, hopefully April. Yeah, so.
26.
Yeah, we want to try to bid when all of the contractors are planning out their projects for the year. That usually gives us a lot better pricing because they're looking for their work, so.
Awesome.
That's cool. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
Logan,
you all
good
for your
job.
feedback.
Appreciate it. You guys are welcome to leave or stay, whatever you want. You're going to be bored the rest of this meeting, so it's up to you. Thanks for all your help. Look forward to keep working with you.
Thank you.
So cool.
All right, we'll move to item number 6, which is discussion on the status of the Transportation Master Plan and October open house and discussion on proposed elements in the plan. Mr. Rob Hunter.
Thank you. So I just wanted to bring a few items here in front of you all as we move forward with the next steps in the Transportation Master Plan. We've had the online story map and survey, public-facing survey up there for I think a couple of months now. We did the booth at the Pioneer Day celebration, got a lot of people there. They had hundreds of stickers or comments or, people writing things down just from that one event. And so that was very successful also. And so we've been working towards then putting together our project list. And wanted to run some things by you before, I guess in anticipation of a public open house that we're going to have 2 weeks from tomorrow, October 2nd, here at City Hall. And so the status is, again, we've got the story map and the public feedback is still up. We've done our initial development of projects, so we have roadway projects, and we'll go through some of these, but ones that I have specific questions on before we go to this or have this public open house. But we have roadway projects that include new connections and a couple of widening projects that you'll see. Intersection projects that we're talking about, either roundabouts or realignments where the intersections don't quite line up. And then the bulk is, unsurprisingly, is sidewalk projects, just needing to get sidewalks built around town. Again, we'll have a public open house 2 weeks from tomorrow, October 2nd.
What time?
5 o'clock to 6:30. And then the plan is to, after that meeting, that kind of final public feedback, we'll start finalizing the plan and plan to have that in November. Where I'm anticipating that we'll probably come at a kind of final draft stage, come and present it to you, see what final feedback you have on anything before we finalize the actual document, and then bring it to you for final adoption. So we're anticipating that we could do one maybe the beginning of November, have that final draft, and then whether we have one in the third week of November, actually, I'm just thinking about it, probably not because of Thanksgiving, so maybe the first one in December, we'll finalize the document and bring it to you for adoption. This is not as big as I was hoping it was on the screen if you turn around here, but in terms of what we see as city projects, and actually one of them is UDOT, but at least a publicly funded projects that are purely roadway. We really only have 7. I'll get to the next one where we talk about there's lots more roads to build, but those will be development driven. But we have, we're showing it on ours, even though it's mostly in Springville, but making that final connection, once they get the Dry Creek Parkway done up to State Street, then it'll be the connection over to 1600 North. There is the one that's UDOT, so one of the widening projects is it shows that in the future, so it's a low priority just because it shows that it's probably going to be 20 years from now before it's needed, or maybe as long as that, that they extend the 5-lane section all the way down to Maple Street. There's, we'll get more into this, but we do show at least there needs to be some connection, or it is beneficial to at least have some connection, Maple Street west into Springville and Spanish Fork. That's one of the items that I have to discuss specifically. And then there's a few shorter connections that just don't make sense to leave to development because it's all pretty much built out. There's the one that's just west of us here at City Hall, connecting 300 west to the extension of 400 north. There's a very short stretch here of 800 north, just east of 300 west, that needs to be connected. Depending on, at least as far as we've understood from the property owners here, there's no immediate plans to develop 800 West, this last little missing section of 800 West going into Mapleton Heights. And so if that doesn't move forward in the next few years, we may want to have that be a city project of completing 800 West down into there. And then the other, what we're calling the widening project, is really just building the rest of it out because it is so skinny, is South Main Street, just south of 1600 South. It's, with how much is building down there, it really needs to be built to its full width. So I just wanted to talk about this to you. So again, these are the projects that we have identified as being city-led or publicly led at least. You'll see that there's on some of these going to be obviously Highway 89 will be UDOT, and then it'll be more than just us looking at these connections west into Springville and Spanish Fork. But there will be a lot of other connections that'll be built out by development, but we don't see any rush for the city to take it on before development gets there. So the overall, I guess the first question is, on these city projects, is there anyone that you know that we miss, or any overall feedback? Like I said, we'll get specifically into this Maple Street connection, but just from an overall standpoint, are there any other, I've still got intersections and sidewalks, those are separate, but in terms of like widening or connecting the streets, is there anyone that y'all can think of that should be a city, that you see as being a citywide or a city-led project?
The only one is South Main Street needs to be somehow bolder than the other 3 highs up there. I don't know if you put it in all capital letters or what, but
This one?
it's a real problem.
Yeah.
And if we don't do something quick, we're going to have a bigger problem there. There's some work needs to be done there with the neighboring we've had this discussion.
Yep.
But we just need to bump it up. It's got to be fixed
Yep.
sooner or later.
Okay.
If 7 is done before there's development, would that be pioneering work that they would reimburse the city once they build out the property?
Typically, yes. We could, yeah, just for the,
I thought, just verifying.
yeah, I would say it is on the one side of on their side of the street. The other side of the street already is an existing home, and so if we're going to do that, it would be the city to do that, yeah.
Trying to connect the previous topic to this topic. There is a connection to the bike park at some point, right? And maybe that's a.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Down and around and back up.
we didn't have any, actually, it probably shows on here. Yeah, so this is the roadway. The bike park is roughly here. So that will be connected.
Okay.
Okay. And so I wanted to talk about Maple Street in particular, the connection. So this has been shown, our 2010 Transportation Master Plan showed this. There hadn't been a lot of modeling, and so there kind of always was a question is, what is really the need of connecting that over? We've shown it on our Transportation Master Plan. Springville has shown that they also believe that we need the connection over through them. But there hadn't, like I said, there hadn't been modeling, at least on our side, to show really what the need was. And so we do show that from a modeling standpoint, that some sort of connection, purely from a technical modeling standpoint, it is needed. And so if we look at the no-build situation here, there's a couple of things that I'd like to point out. Is one, that would mean that at our full build out, or I guess 2050 is basically build out for us. But at 2050, then we'd be putting the model shows 7,000 cars a day going down. My mind just went blank. What is that? Evergreen. Evergreen Road, which is just a local road in Springville. And yeah, and I would say the model is these are trends. Don't take 7,000 as gospel truth, right? But it is, 7,000 for a local street, 4,000 for a small local street that is just cut through is a fair amount of traffic. So 7,000 is really high. So even if it's 5 or 8, it's really high. It also shows in some of these more major roads, should be a little bit, stronger in the modeling, but it shows that we could see up to 20,000 cars a day going to Spanish Fork Parkway to that T intersection there. 20,000 cars a day, that intersection is not. They're doing a signal design right now and going to build that this next year. That's not going to handle 20,000 if 20,000 cars a day. You'd have to totally redo the widths and the intersection and everything. And so, again, it does show that as has been shown in our master plan, it does show that there is support modeling wise of there is a connection that's needed. But before we go, I guess before we move forward on what exactly should we show?
There's a roundabout there. Is that in the plan for us or for somebody else? I thought I saw a roundabout in that. You skipped over it. Maybe back.
Oh, it's further down, but yeah, we'll get to that for feedback also. There's no roundabout that we're proposing in this section of the Main Street area. But the question is kind of twofold, is with that, do you support to continue to show the connection going west into Springville from where it connects in now to Doubleday and Sunrise Ranch, which would be this portion here. And then as a separate question, because there is a fair amount of cost of connecting that over to US 89, is should we show that connection or not? And that's where the modeling gets a little bit more murky. So if you build everything out, it shows 8,000 cars a day. And if you were to make this connection, it shows that some of it will cut over north and south, more north than south anyways, because people are trying to get, coming from the north area of town, and it's easier for them to turn down this direction and go out. So it does have less volume, but that is 3,000 less cars that would either be, turning up or down Doubleday and Sunrise Ranch.
Rob, would that be a collector road like Slant Road? If it
Yeah.
connected, it'd be a wide collector road like that?
It would be, yeah. So what we show right now is that it would need to be our collector, our 42 feet of pavement. So So it can stay, 8,000 is kind of the, getting towards the upper limit, but it could probably stay a 2-lane. But it is collector road. And these are, Doubleday and Sunrise Ranch are collectors also. So that's why we're asking the question. It's not like, it's not like these weren't built to have traffic. They were built to have traffic. Some of it still will connect up there. And if you recall, and we'll get to the pros and cons, I guess maybe I should have put this first. There's the picture of, if we were to make that connection, you're going down probably 25 or 30 feet to cross this hasn't been delineated yet, but if we were delineated, I'm guessing that there is some, jurisdictional wetlands down there that we'd have to cross over. And so we'd have to do some amount of fill, so we're not, going all the way down and then coming up a steep embankment again. I figured out how to cross this over. This is it's not a cheap road to build.
There's also 2 houses we'd probably have to condemn.
And there'd be 2, yeah, so this is in the pros and cons. So in the initial, I guess maybe I'm jumping ahead here. I'll start with the first question is everybody supportive to build the connection west into Springville, however it connects over. And the pros are it's faster connections for Mapleton residents. Would be less congestion in the future. The modeling is showing that, you're failing at the Slant Road, Spanish Fork Parkway connection. We'd cut down considerably the cut-through traffic through Springville neighborhoods that weren't built for that. And then it's not on Mountain Line Association government's RTP right now, but I think that would be very easy to add. They're just starting the update to that. I think it'd be very easy to add and have that be a MAG-funded project. So there would be matching. You have 6.7% matching that the local city does. Then that'd be between us and Springville. But MAG, I think, would mostly fund that. The cons are, that would mean that we're extending it through our Springville, or excuse me, our Sunrise Ranch Park. There is a high cost. These are where the discussions that come with now that they've got, are getting a consultant on board to start with the consolidation of the 2 rail lines to our border. I'm sure UPRR's initial thing is going to be if you want a roadway connection there, it's going to have to be bridged over the top. So we're going to have that discussion, and that'll be additional cost.
Will there be 2 tracks or 1 track by then? So I didn't know where they were.
One line.
So okay, I thought they were getting split for one, then they're coming together.
There will be so
Just one crossing. When that happens.
Well, it'll be a single crossing, but it will have to be over the full, what they show as their full build out. So it would have to span right away to right away. That's what the UPRR requires. Yep. So that's what makes it. I mean, we're talking probably $10 million bridge. And that's just the bridge. That's not the roadway connecting to it. That's just the bridge. And then the other con is that if we connect it through there to where people are going through there, then you have more cut through traffic on Doubleday and Sunrise Ranch. So, but like I said, the modeling shows that, from a modeling standpoint, we're if we don't want Slant to fail in the future, and we don't want, we don't want to send so much cut through traffic through Springville neighborhoods, it does show it. So,
Probably 25 million to do that extension with everything, with land acquisition, all the
Not
construction.
including the Maple,
yeah, I'd say just extending it west down to State Street and bridging over that is, you may not be quite 25, but you're going to be, I mean, anywhere from 15 to 25 would be my rough guess. We haven't gotten to the more detailed, I mean, it's still concept, but doing the cost estimates, but yeah.
It's a lot of money.
And again, that wouldn't be on us to do. I mean, a lot of this is, right, we go through the park and do our half of the track, over the tracks, the rest is Springville's. That's where I'm saying MAG, I think, would see this as that's needed and we could put it on their RTP and potentially get their funding
I
for
assume
it.
Springville has an appetite for us to do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and last time we talked about this, a few planning meetings ago, we said, yes, please leave this in the plan. We didn't want to pull it out, and so,
Right.
I mean, in terms of the math with the modeling, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think this is the only option we actually have to increase opportunity for people to get out of the community. And so tell us about the houses. We haven't,
Yeah, I think
Talked
for us,
about that.
for us, this connection is, yes, we should keep
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
The connection between Slant Road and Doubleday, we don't think is worth the cost
It-
and the complications to do it.
Again,
but-
modeling is
And that's
never.
going to be, that's the area that's the wetlands and all of
Yep.
that, is that correct?
Mo-
Okay.
Right.
Condemning the houses.
So modeling is never perfect, but when there's 8,000 cars coming in and 5,000 are still cutting through, even if you make that connection, for how high of a cost it would be to go through that wetland area, that's where I'm looking at it and saying, I don't know that that's, I mean, we're talking then it's 4,000 versus 5,000 going one way, you know? That's not enough of a,
I think those are, it's valid insight. I feel like we are doing an injustice to future council members to take them both off the plan, my personal feeling. Just
Okay.
because it's on the plan doesn't mean in 10 years or
will,
15 years they
yeah.
have to do it. But I think that's a disservice. Did I say injustice? I meant
Part
a
of the-
disservice.
okay,
Part of the challenge we had in the past and we're having now on the section, the difficult section is the property's for sale. And so we're constantly getting people coming in saying, well, what's the city
What can
going
I
to
do with this?
require?
Yeah.
And our position as well, we're trying to figure out our transportation plan to see what may be required. And so it is something that we're going to have to, one way or the other, make a decision on that segment. The rest of it, yes, you could keep it on the plan, and if we don't ever come up with the money and MAG doesn't ever come up with it, we don't build it, but
How long has it been on the plan? Just since 2010, or was it on a plan prior to that?
I think since 10.
So
Yeah.
if we put it on the plan, does that mean we put our money where our mouth is?
No.
What financial obligation does the city have if we decide to keep it on?
Well, so if a developer comes in and they want to construct property there,
Yes. But we
their
already have-
requirement is to do, the minimum widths required for their development, so there would be some added cost. But we would have to design that whole road to figure out exactly where it was going to align, how it was going to make its way through.
We'd have to do the surveying, or at least the engineering for where it's going to be, and then they know what it is.
yeah, I think we would,
Probably in the area of 100,000.
I think we wouldn't bring it to we wouldn't need to do a full design. We'd have to do somewhere in the concept at 30% level, just to show them, this is how we see it going in.
why would we not do that? To me, we need to put the stake in the sand, design the hypothetical,
Yeah, get
and
the
move
data.
on.
That's what I'd say.
This is the problem. You can't, it's going to be, we set up Sunrise Ridge with this in mind. We went through all that. We got all that figured out because we weren't sure. If the population is going to be double what it is today, you already know what 400 north, 1600 south looks like. You know what it's like getting to the freeway. You know what it's like. You're not expanding 400 north much more. You'll get some turning lanes throughout there, and that's it. Now you got a roundabout to go through on your way there.
Yeah.
And a stoplight, one stoplight. You got the commercial there. Slant Road is being used now because they got the connection over the railroad tracks that took them 15 years to get down on, by Spanish Fork Parkway.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that we give it up. I think we got to hold our ground and stick with it, because the one thing we don't want is double the stoplights we have getting out of town we have today at some point. And then 3 ways out of town, heaven forbid there's an emergency and we got to get, evacuate people or whatever the case is, and it's a bottleneck for what reason. We'll get, I've had lots of conversations with Matt about this, Packer, Springville, mayor. Him and I speak often. He's a good friend of mine. We have a great working relationship with them. This is something that they want, obviously. That road that we're talking about that goes off of that Evergreen Road, the thing's a piece of crap. There shouldn't be 20 cars on it. The gal that got killed there 4 or 5 years ago was a friend of mine. It's not a good situation.
Yeah.
So I think that we got to maintain that right away and have that option. You
Yep.
just can't give it up. So if we got to go do a little bit of design to lay some stuff out, so be it.
I think
But
we're all on the
don't
same
think we
page
do.
about that.
Yeah.
The others,
Where we were before.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
you were when we talked
when
about
we
it
talked
last.
about it last, yeah.
Well, and maybe we should be a little more aggressive with that. We kept it in there because
It's-
we're like, yeah, we want the option, but maybe now we should actually see what it looks like.
Well, Jessica, there's lots of conversations right now about funding and bringing that, now that the off-ramps, underway.
Makes sense.
And so there's lots of funding. The funding brings it up to Highway 51 right now, and so now we're working through the details of making the jump. And so that's happening on a higher level, and you have to have more participation. And so it's a hot topic for Mayor Packard and their team. And
Timing
so-
is right.
That's right. So at that level, you just keep pushing it and get the funding when the funding's available and
Yeah.
go for it, so.
And that's the thing, is like, I'll already start the conversations with MAG, and our consultant will help me with that. I mean, we all know each other very well. So they know those guys too. In fact, one of our consultants used to work, was one of the higher ups in MAG, so.
Let's not forget, it behooves Spanish Fork as well, and we've had this conversation with them.
Yeah.
So when we do go to MAG and the decisions get made, it's 3-0 vote.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not like a 1-2
Yep.
or 2-1. It's 3-0, and we're all on the same page, so.
Yep. And we've been in conversations with both cities. So all of them will be on board, and we'll work to get this on the RTP. I think this is easy. They'll put it on there.
One benefit if it gets on the RTP is we could potentially get corridor
Quarter
preservation.
preservation, I
That's
was gonna
right.
say. So,
There's plenty of funding options,
This
yeah.
property may have to be
yeah.
purchased, because by the time you design it, there may not be any land left, so. Right, and
Yep.
so
Cut and
we'll
fill.
have to look at that.
Okay. All right. I'll start that process, and
Thanks.
we'll keep it on there.
Probably it.
Well, just wanted to kind of give you more of an FYI, because I think we had talked about initially as we did this, of having some roundabouts coming down Main Street. Our consultant also suggested that we may need one in the future. If not, then it'll be a four-way stop, which 1600 South is planned to, or really, I guess we'll see. We're still working on getting things on the, getting UDOT or figuring out funding with the legislature is our next step to get the transfer in place. But one way or the other, that's a pretty wide street to try to control with a four-way stop. And so they're suggesting that in the future, we're gonna probably want a roundabout here in front of Ira Allen Park. So I just wanted to, since that'll be part of the board that we're doing the open house, I just wanted to make you guys aware of that also and see if you had any feedback there.
Rob, what are the color differences for?
What is it?
Is it size?
So,
Is that a roundabout?
yeah, so this is, so the roundabout, they've shown potential roundabouts in the future at 1600 North. They're suggesting that if we want to start doing them, that the first two, that their suggestion is Maple and Main, and then up by the junior high at 12th and Main. Potentially in the future at 1600 and Main, especially after this connection is made, there's going to be more traffic on 1600 North. And then down the road, as more of this southern end builds out at 1600 South and Main, and then 1600 South and 800 West. So that's what the red is, is what they suggest is higher priority.
Roundabout, but high
Medium priority and lower priority. And we haven't gone in, I mean, this is kind of just looking at intersection improvements itself. It doesn't, like at one point, we're going to have to go through and say, okay, sidewalks, here's a general medium, high, low on sidewalks, medium, high, low on intersection, medium, high, low on connections, and then say, okay, but, do we do more sidewalks right now than we do roadway connections and all that? So we're not at that stage yet. These two are not roundabouts. These two are intersection improvements, but these are where, coming up from the hill, from Springville, they're roads that connect all the way, pretty far down into Mapleton, and the intersection is offset, and so it's just looking at needing to shift those intersections. So, is there any feedback on that before we move forward on showing it like that on the?
One area that I'm familiar with is north in Maine. During school times or in the morning, or rush hour, whatever like that, it's really a congested area, and lots of people are taking
Third East and other streets to get over to Maple Street.
Going down. So you,
Just because when they're coming that way, they can't get out on the street because it's, the traffic, the two-way traffic is just so sporadic, they can't pull out.
Okay.
I've seen 6, 8, 10 cars lined up there.
so just to clarify, so you're suggesting we
I'm
show a
not
potential
suggesting,
roundabout there?
pointing it out.
Or need to take a look at it, yeah, okay,
Pointing that intersection out.
okay. We'll
They
take-
even have their school buses going down Third, they don't even go down to that street, so.
Oh, really?
The school buses miss that corner just because it takes long to get through.
Okay, okay, we'll take a look at that.
Great, Rob.
That's all I had.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to seeing the updates to those. Any other questions for Rob?
Did you get what you need from us, Rob? Yep.
Okay, great. We'll move on to item number 7, which is discussion regarding the long-term plans for public safety, staffing, and facilities. Corey, let's do this.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, at our last council meeting, you requested we come back this evening and have a discussion regarding public safety facilities, especially, I think was one of the main topics as far as long-term plans for that. I want to thank the efforts of Chief Jackson, Chief Glasgow, and Bryce, and Sean, and Mayor. We've spent, I've had a couple meetings since that last council meeting discussing this. We went through a number of different topics. Just I want to hit on a few of those, but we went back and took a look at the last 3 to 4 years, just looking at the call volumes and response times, and calls were in Mapleton comparable to calls to our adjacent cities, et cetera. We looked at budget expenses. We looked at staffing and what those costs are. We looked at what it would take to staff a full-time or staff a station full-time. We studied the ISO rating, recognizing that recently we were downgraded within that rating. We talked about a fire, looking at maybe a matrix and trying to identify within that matrix what might be a low urgency versus monitoring closely versus action needed immediately. We also looked at the population growths that are coming, and also the increased call volume, and obviously with the increased call volume, sometimes we'll decrease the response times as well. I again, appreciate their efforts, and one of the things that they did is each of them have compiled a number of different studies and reports. Today, me and Sean took some time just going over each of those reports, and we can email these to you so you can take a look at it. They get very specific in regards to, even as we look at 2025, we narrow it down from January, February, March, all right into that month by month. But what we did today is as we took these reports, just trying to compile now an opportunity for you to have some discussions this evening. So with that said, as you can see, some of the talk, Sean, go back to that first one there. We'll review the call volumes and response times. We'll review fire department expenses, discuss the station options. And then, as you recall, this has been a discussion for us for a number of years now. And we'll kind of just hit on if you have any questions from those past discussions that we had and the directions we were given at that time. Next one, Sean. So currently, total call volumes, as we looked at these last 3 years, average approximately about 500 calls per year within Maple City. So that's just within our city only. Just looking at 2025, the way it's going, if it continues, we will probably be around 570 to 580 of call-outs just within our own city. With that said, our average approximately for the last 3 years, about 833 calls per year, total with about 40% of those calls outside the city. Now, outside the city would be calls to adjacent cities or our Utah County agreement that we have that kind of ties into that. Of that 833 calls, approximately what we're seeing these last couple of years is the highest is 24% calls going to Springville. We're not doing many call-outs to Spanish Fork. We recognize that that number needs to continue to go down, and we'll continue to have some discussions with that to bring that number down. And give and take, you're approximately about 80% of your calls are EMS calls. Next slide, Sean.
How many calls by chance are just fire alarms or smoke alarms or something like that that's malfunctioned? Is that included in there too?
That is, we break that down into other, and you can
So
see
you
that.
you know how many of the, okay.
Yeah, we can, in that report, it will show you that, and kind of how that is lined up too. And the two chiefs can touch on that a little bit here in a minute with questions, so. Average response times come in, as you can see, 5 minutes and 52 seconds. Average response times, we're looking closely at that south end, 1600 South. We appreciate their efforts. They narrowed it down to looking at northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast, 1600 South going south. So again, we have those, we got those specifics for you, but you're looking approximately about 7.5 minutes with, on that 1600 South. 75% of our calls responded to are under 7 minutes, and 25% are exceeding that 7 minutes. And you're seeing some incidents where they're occurring simultaneously. There was 49 times within this year. That's about 8% of our calls. Next slide, Sean. Just quickly wanted to get, again, as you're aware of this, our end of our fiscal year of 2025, the fire department's spent that $1.4 million. Of that 1.1 is compensation related to salaries and benefits. That includes full-time salaries, part-time salaries, volunteer salaries, overtime, and benefits. The total compensation expenses for one fully staffed station, not including chief, would be approximately about $1.88 million. The station would include 3 shifts. Each shift would include a captain, an engineer, and 3 firefighters. Now, we're not here tonight to say that's what we're proposing this evening. We're just wanting you to get a feel for if we were to, as we continue to monitor this, and kudos to Chief Glasgow and his team over the years of doing a good job of staying within budget and also providing those part-time staffing that has helped us with these costs, and we'll continue to do that. But if you were to try to consider maybe a station, a full-time staffing, that's something you'd probably look at. Not, again, Chief Glasgow could come say, hey, there's a few little different changes I would do to that, just giving you some ideas of what that would look like. I know Chief Glasgow has talked about in the past of proposing 2 additional full-time engineers that would be stationed here at our main city office. We can go to the next slide. So obviously, we felt from your discussions last time that one of the main topics was just the station discussion and recognizing what's taking place in that south end. From our past work sessions, we've discussed this one. Do we expand our existing public safety building? That would include purchasing some property to the south and then putting some additional expansion on that south end of the building. Do we build this southern station, recognizing with our development down on the south end, we do have 2-acre property that has been agreed upon to give to us, so we haven't had to pay for that. And do we put another station in that location? Or do we consider one new station in more of a centralized location? And then also, what would the timing be for that? So we'll come back to those questions in a second. As you recall from our work sessions, the direction we kind of felt we were looking at was expanding the existing station in the near terms. Plan for a second station in Harmony Ridge in the long term. Is that still where you're at as a council? Or should we consider, again, having more discussion on that centralized location, somewhere along that Highway 89, rather than having 2 stations that we've kind of talked about before? Next one, Sean. Potential cost, your expansion of the existing station, somewhere around $3 to $5 million expansion. That would include both land and construction. Again, you look at the Harmony Ridge station, land is donated, as I mentioned before, possibly somewhere around that $3 to $6 million for a new building. New central location, land purchase, somewhere around $1 to $2 million, and hopefully we're high on that $12 to $15 million, but by the time you start that construction and build, that might be where you're looking with that. Keep in mind that doesn't include equipment and staffing costs with that. Next, Sean. So bond costs, we've discussed this in times past, but that gives you the numbers as far as what the difference would be on a $5 million versus $10 million versus $15 million, and what that would do for a yearly payment as well as that property tax increase. And Bryce, if I recall on that, that was a 20-year bond is what you were looking at with those numbers as well. With that said, that's all I have, so I'm going to turn it over to you as mayor and council and let you discuss these topics.
So Jessica had the question, we had a retreat in the beginning of this year where we had decided to move forward with the expansion of this building. Jessica brought up there's a lot of discussion being happened about it. She wanted more data. We've drilled the data and put it together, met, and come back, and I think we've got the actual data, which is good stuff. It's good stuff to review. And then Theron said that since the retreat, some things have changed for him, and he thinks we need to go a different direction, I think is what you said the last meeting. So I think right now is a good time for Theron, if you want to say what you think needs changed and go a different direction if it's different than what we originally planned, and that'll kind of get us going down the road of here's where we were, here's what we decided. Is the change necessary now, or do we need to reconsider that and have the discussion go?
Yeah, so I'll just briefly just explain my perspective on the whole thing. I think since our retreat and that decision was made, there was, I think in my mind, the turning point was, to me, when we decided to build the Parks building and not consider using the current fire station as a Parks building, I think that was to me at the time, that was the deciding factor of whether we needed to do a centralized station or have two. And I think that was a heavy decision that basically decided it for us. Now, I'm not saying that we couldn't still do a centralized location. It's just, to me, it felt like that would be a lot more costly option to now try to repurpose the current fire station and then now build another big one in the middle of town. So that kind of speaks to where I was at and where I'm going on as far as whether we need a north station and a south station. And that's kind of where I'm at. I think one big central station would be economical for staffing. It would be a nice station for the firefighters, but the response time still, even in the middle of town, at full build out, is still going to be borderline to me. Now, this is just me talking from my perspective. This is not me looking at data. This is not me looking at anything that Chief Glasgow and those guys have put together. This is just me as a first responder, having done this for 10 years and being able to get to places, different locations in town, and looking at the transportation plan that we're also talking about is access to some of these areas. Up in the foothills, that's going to take some time to get up into there. So even a central station is still going to lend itself to longer response times. So to me, I don't think to me it's pretty simple. We need the current station and we need one down south. The expedited nature of it has come just in the last 6 months of responding to calls down there in Harmony Ridge and those areas where it's just a long drive, and the amount of people moving down there is drastically more than I ever imagined by this time. And so that has spurred my change in perspective on timing as far as I think in the retreat, did we say 3 to 5 years out for if we did a south station? That's why my perspective on that has changed as far as timing on that. I think that's now more important that it happens sooner rather than later.
So it's not a just a point of clarification. I'm supportive also of the southern station when the timing proves right, which I don't know the answer to. Even now, I have some questions about the data that I want to lean into a little bit more. We're growing the way I understood the model would be. So this is just a point of clarification, is your desire to expedite construction or design or whatever, is that because of your personal experience going down there and physically experiencing that as you've gone on calls?
Yeah, I mean,
So
that's
it's
a huge, that's the, I would say by
okay.
far, that's definitely the biggest factor, absolutely.
Okay.
The data, I think, is data that can be completely looked at differently, and the accuracy of it versus reality, I think there's some interpretation there that makes it soft, right? And so, to me, it's just simply, when you're in the back of an ambulance and you're responding to somebody that's choking, or when you're responding to an emergent call, and it's taking a long time, like, when you're in the back of an ambulance, the time is ticking when you're sitting there trying to devise how you're going to treat this patient and what you're going to do when you get there and what needs to be done right now. Like, you're listening to dispatch saying, we're giving you updates on what the condition of the patient is, and when you have 10-minute drive down there, that's forever. Like, you're giving up hope for this person's life. You know what I mean?
How many have we had? How many calls have we had? Like, what's the ratio of calls we've had past 1600 South as you've looked at your data? What I'm trying to understand is there a preponderance? Like, what is that? Because I literally don't know
This year,
this.
south of 1600 South, we've had 65 calls.
Okay. And what were the majority of those calls? Were they EMS? Were they fire?
80% of our calls is
The
EMS.
EMS, so
Yeah.
that's true for the South.
And if you live south of 1600 South, your average response time was 8 minutes and 11 seconds.
Okay, so 8 minutes and 11, so not quite 10, but it probably
Farther-
feels like 15.
Well,
The farther you get down south,
Yeah,
the closer
that makes
you
sense.
get to 10, 11 minutes.
I can give
So-
you, I can give you that data.
I do
South
have-
of
oh, go ahead.
2600 South, there's 24 total calls
Yeah.
south of there, and the average response is 8 minutes, 50 seconds.
Okay,
South of
so
26.
pushes
South 26.
another minute,
Yeah.
which makes sense. Do you have comparison data? Because you used, I think it was 552 as the mean for all calls. What was it a year ago today? Is
Yeah,
there a
that-
difference?
That I can go back and.
I've got it right here.
Because I thought we were 540 or
I
5.
think we're
Yeah, the public safety.
we're averaging, as of last year from the public safety report.
Yeah,
We are averaging at 5 minutes, 57 seconds. Now,
so was
I
that,
don't know if that includes calls to Springville, if that's response times to Springville as well,
The
or not?
number we've given you tonight is only Mapleton calls.
Okay, and that's 5, what did you say?
so are we
552?
faster now?
We're 5 seconds faster now than we were last year, average.
Oh,
So
well, good job.
The only thing I'll say about that data that came out, it took us 5 days to pull this data, like full-time, 5 days, going call by call. We don't have an electronic program that we can just query, what's the average response call, and it shoots it out at us. So what that data is
Get that.
from.
We should
Probably
get
be
that.
expensive.
I would
But,
recommend
the
including that in the
Image
budget.
Trend, our EMS billing software.
Yeah.
Can run reports. And so that's what we've used for the public safety
Okay.
report. So that's our EMS data from 2024.
Okay.
It does not include any fire calls
So maybe it's a
whatsoever.
little less sophisticated than what we did this year. That's fair. But that you do raise a good point. If we're spending 5 people full-time, go get some software, for the love. Like, can we please?
The sad thing is we pay a lot for the software we're using.
Well, obviously, there's an improvement that needs to happen there. So
But that would be
Created a
nice to know
Google
that when we were celebrating our response times and making all of our decisions and
kudos for
investments.
stepping it up on this, like, all things
Google Sheet
good.
moving forward.
So next year, let's go and automate the
would
crap
be
out of
nice.
this.
Because I'm blind.
I don't
No
I don't
argument
want
there.
that.
We want it to. We want the data to.
Question, so as preparing for this conversation, I've gone and pulled tons of stuff from the National Association. I've looked through regs, I've looked through needs assessment templates for other cities building to try and figure out, how do we know when the timing is right? Because as a council, we are charged with not responding to the emotional plea of, we lost one person down there, which is very hard. It is the worst thing to hear the argument of, we're saving a life if we get another station down there right now. Like, when I also know that we could lose lives that are 2 minutes away that we have no control over. And so we are charged with this sort of awful responsibility that anybody can argue we must save a life. I have to separate myself from that, to being my responsibility with spending tax dollars. And so I've been looking for the best practices, the data that is the best predictor on when and how and all the things. I have said, oh, I want that southern one, no problem. Like if you tell me that's the best case for this city, if both of you say we need that second one down south, done, good. But now I'm looking at, okay, what's the timeline? What has changed? We know it will change. We know build out will come. So and if we have new and better data than when we had this conversation in December, fantastic, let's use this data. So as I've been learning myself on how to consume the data that exists in this space where I'm not an expert, one of the things I'd love to learn more about, and I'm sorry you're going back to your Google Sheet on this, and maybe we can't even get the data, but I would like to, as we consider this, even if we can get 90 days of data, is what causes these calls to be 7 minutes over? And so I've looked at these factors about turnout time. What are the things? How fast is it to change your clothes? Staffing, the time of day, the traffic on the road, the station layout, the call type, the technology we have. Dispatch is call processing time, travel and external factors. So distance, traffic and congestion, road conditions and obstructions. Is there construction going on? Weather. Geographic and regional variations, incident complexity, engine and apparatus type, visibility, you can't see as well at night to drive as fast. So I've got this huge list of things I've been trying to process with 7 minutes. And the answer to 7 minutes, or 8 minutes and 52 seconds, whatever it is down south, isn't as simple as it's farther. That's not the whole story. So what's really critical to me is I'm thinking about how to allocate tax dollars, knowing we absolutely prioritize public safety. And we must prioritize it effectively according to best practices, which I'm learning. I'm really trying to learn as much as I can. But knowing these things, what do we need to understand about that time so we're solving the right problem with people's money? So the principle of buy the problem, not the solution, is very useful in business. So people come to you and want to solve a problem and be like, oh, let's throw money at this, let's do this and this. We can't afford to do that. So when we're talking buy the problem, not the solution, I need to know what the real problems are. Is there something about the layout of our fire station that slows people down 30 seconds? Maybe we should fix something there. Is there a technology issue that slows us down 15 seconds? Maybe we fix that first. So I need more. We've gotten so far with what you guys have done, but when we're talking about millions of dollars every year and having to bond, I have got to, when we go out and ask people to give money to this, I have got to be able to say, we have studied it, our needs assessment proves it, and because we have been this thorough, I am asking you to support a bond on a ballot. And I think we can do that. I actually think, within 6 months, we can have all the things that I'm desperate to have and create a needs assessment that we can all stand on. Clearly, I think what we're doing is we're finding out we're maturing. And part of that had to do with even Nick coming in to say, okay, Chief Glasgow, to say we're maturing from this purely volunteer to blended, and now we're looking at a second site. And that also includes our analytics and how we solve our problems. So it's just adding that layer of maturity as we grow. And if anything, I'm proud of us to even have this conversation, frankly. So I don't know the answer, other than I know we'll need that second station down south. Now, what I'm hoping is, as we dig into this data and really understand, what if our lockers are in the wrong place? And that's stupid. Like, that could add 20 seconds for all I know. But what I'm reading says those little factors matter. And maybe we could put a little money into something in our current station to even improve things right now that I just don't know the science on and I'm learning. So I'd challenge all of us to dig in more. I've been really intrigued by all these variables. There's mathematic equations that calculate the fire engine based on all of these variables, what you can predict, you can save time on. Like, it's really very nerdy cool, but this has created this challenge because I know this is going to be a big deal. I mean, think about how long we spend talking about a little road that's the same $2 million, or this bike trails or whatever. A public safety issue is, oh my gosh, and it's going to be in perpetuity of that kind of investment. So I want to do it right, but I also have learned that we might have an opportunity to even do it better right now. with something. So my challenge, this is my feedback from here is I don't know a perfect timeline, but that perfect timeline can be determined by using best practices, taking the great data you've harvested, continuing that pattern, and then looking for some of these nuances. What's low-hanging fruit that maybe we can address now with our current facility? That was the best facility we've ever had. Heaven knows, we probably made mistakes when we built that one. What can we do better? Are there little modifications now? I'd love to see you come back and say, we have learned that if we make this shift, or if we extend this side, or do this, that we could shave 10 seconds. I think that'd be amazing. But then the second build-out, really understanding what those 7-minute and aboves, what are the variables? Were they at night? Was it darker? Was there rain? Was there construction on the highway? Those things that slow us down. Once we understand that, and maybe the answer is, it's simply farther. Maybe that's what we learn, but then we know it, and I can go and ask for money for this. So that's where I am kind of on this. I love the data you've brought. I wish we had as much science historically, because seeing change over time is a big deal. But now that you have it, great, get some software so we can ensure we don't have human error as we're calculating it, so everybody knows transparently what's going on. But I'm really proud of this next level of maturity in our public safety. I think it's heading the right way. And
So well said, Jessica. I do have a comment to that, but if you want to address anything that she said.
that was like, I'm all kinds of like ranty right now. I don't know what it is, guys.
I appreciate it.
I'm learning.
We're definitely open to any low-hanging fruit. Our turnout times are good. I think a majority of the time is distance. We've clocked the farthest house south that you can get to the station. It's an 11-minute drive. And so, it's an 11-minute drive. And so I think there's definitely things you can do, and there's technology. One thing that I'll say in the last 3 years, the way we used to get paged, we didn't have iSpy.
Oh, yeah.
We were the
Yeah.
first in Utah County to get iSpy. We brought it here. Now every fire department uses it. That shaved 2 minutes off of every person's response time in Utah County. That started in Mapleton with us. We were the very first agency. So we've embraced technology. There's definitely things we can do. I don't know if when you have an 11-minute, I mean, we have documented 11-minute response times that I can look at the call, not averages, but like a call to the far south,
Is
it's 11
Spanish
minutes.
Fork closer? I mean,
If they're staffed. I
so
mean,
I'm curious about that
Yes, but-
situation too, is that relationship, if we're willing to help, how does that, and how long can those interlocals sustain us? So many factors, because if they can sustain us, I don't know if they can help.
I know currently Spanish Fork is not staffed.
Are they
It's
understaffed?
not staffed with an engine. They also currently are contracted to the county to cover 88 square miles of county lands.
Oh.
Up Highway, on top of
Fix.
their building bigger city.
Yeah.
And their interfacility hospital contract that they support.
Yeah.
So right now, we have a mutual aid agreement with them. We can request them, but it's whether they're available or they're not.
So in an ideal world, if they were staffed up, then we could rely on them to help
I
with the
don't know if they
south.
would ever want us
Yeah.
to rely on them.
Well,
I mean, we kind of
yeah.
have the same issue with Springville, where
Yeah.
we're going to their city, 24% of our annual calls
Yeah.
on mutual aid.
That's the other factor too, is what are the intentions of our other mayors? And
Well, I think we're in a
within what
position,
they
I
can
think we're in a
control.
position where we can say, hey, it's time to start beefing up your own staff, right? The way I see it, I mean, we've got 25% of our calls are going to Springville, and we're happy to help, right? But when it
Because we
comes.
can right now.
Because we can, but when
yeah.
it comes to making decisions and investments in our own public safety, it's really hard for me to staff up so that we can continue, supporting Springville calls. And look, let me be clear, as I look in this room, my family are frequent flyers with Mapleton EMS, right, over the last 5 years. Monday morning was the most recent. I am so proud of the response times, of the improvements, of everything that is going on in our public safety, specifically fire and EMS. My family is very grateful for that. And I'm sure we'll see you guys probably several more times in the next few months. I'm sure of it. But I think there's a lot to be said for what Jessica has shared, and I could not concur more. I'm looking at, I mean, you've addressed the more, let's define the real problem as we have clarity before we make a massive decision. as I look at these different options, it might very well be that a second station is where we land, but I don't feel like we've explored the pros and cons thoroughly enough of the existing station. I think if I had to make a decision today, I'd say let's fund some expansion of the existing station or improvements and go from there if I had to make a decision today. But I come back to that 25% Springville calls. It's hard for me, we mentioned the staffing. We've sat, Theron and I have sat on the budget, the Wage and Personnel Committee for 6 years. And Theron, you've advocated every year for more volunteers and have been the one very cautious about, approving any funds for, trust me, it's a tug of war, right, in that meeting. And so to come out and consider a fully staffed station, that might be where we end up. But every year we are adding more and more and more. If we're doing that so that we can staff 25% of our calls to Springville, that's something we have to take a look at right now. And I don't know who has the conversations with whom, but it might be time to start having those conversations.
Just want to add a couple thoughts. I love that we're having this conversation. I think it's that with the decision being made 7 years ago or 6 years ago to bring up on Chief Glasgow, this council and mayor, we've always been about public safety and being proactive about these things. And so for me, I just love that we're having this conversation. It seems like where the conversation is mostly going to is timing, which is where I land as well. What has kind of changed for me in the past couple of years with the facilities master plan and with the general plan, they both made projections on growth, and I've looked in the last couple of months, and we're surpassing the growth expectations or projections. So we're growing faster than we had initially thought, and I think that's largely due to the growth on the south end. I don't know how many homes are coming in the south end still, but it feels like over 1,000.
8 million.
Are we statistically growing faster than projected? Because it seems to me, are we? How far ahead?
Yes, Sean hit
Would
on
you
the-
say?
Well, we went from 150 to 180 permits a year to 500 and something last year and
Well,
600
sure.
next year, and probably 400 to 500 for the next few years until Edge gets built out and Mapleton Village gets out. So yes, it's come quicker than we anticipated.
Because at our retreat last year, we knew that Edge Homes was coming. We knew what that looked like, and so that's why I'm asking that. I don't think that should be too much of a surprise that we've had such an increase in our building permits. I anticipated that as soon as that was approved, and so that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, I think
Are we
the
anticipating-
number of homes hasn't surprised us. It's how quickly they
Yeah.
built
Right.
them. Edge
Well, the
is
state
moving.
has helped push that initiative as well. Are you anticipating build-out several years earlier than we previously had? Like, when would you?
Yeah, you could add 6,000 to 7,000 people in the next 5 years in the
Yeah,
south
okay.
end.
There's still some large parcels that probably aren't going to be developed for a while, though, too.
Yeah, most of our large pieces that are left are in the A2 areas. So the heart of town's not going to have huge growth. It's really going to be
Yeah.
filling in that south
I think
end.
it feels like we cut 3 years off of build-out based on what you're saying.
Probably, at
So
least.
2037 instead of 2040, is that,
2047 instead of 2050.
instead of 2050? Oh, I think we're going to be.
So
sooner
where
than-
we're at, I'm sorry, do you have more, Casey?
Oh, I was just going to, the other part of the conversation for me is we're discussing a possible expansion of the current station. I wonder if those funds would be better allocated to saving or, whenever we feel like it's best to build the second station.
That kind of leads into where I'm going. So I don't think there's any debate that there needs to be either a central or a southern station. I think everybody's in agreement that needs to happen. The question we have for you guys is which direction do you want us to go? And then there's a timing element to it of that. So you guys know we've been given some land out there, so we do have that.
Is that land in the right place, though?
I don't know where it's at.
We don't have it yet. So the development agreement says that they'll agree to put it in, that the challenge is that whole commercial area has not been planned. And so the
It's in the
location.
commercial area down, actually, on Highway 6.
It's down by
Well,
Highway
you
6,
can, you can get in either way, depending on where
Is that too
it's
far south?
chosen.
Well, based on the data we have, which I think, Chief Glasgow, you've verified, is we know the distance traveled. A central station doesn't solve that. So we know a large variable of that time is the distance. Centralize the station, it's not going to fix that. So based on that data, my direction would be, let's explore more thoroughly a southern station. If that's, I would also defer to both of you as your recommendations, being our experts in those spaces, so.
Just one other quick thought on it too. Part of the reason we had discussed wanting to expand here first was because police needs more space.
Yes.
And rather than build a
Yeah.
police station, we would expand here, allow them to move
Yeah.
into that, and
I think that
police
we have
would
a
take
phased,
back over, right?
a phased approach that long-term gives everybody more everything, right?
Yeah.
Sean, do you know if like, how much the roads are going to change with Edge Homes being fully built out? How 89 and 6, and would that impact potentially where a station where we'd want to put it?
You're talking,
So I know that, with a lot of commercial growth happening down there and how Edge Homes is kind of built out
Yeah.
on our side, but also on the other side, is there potential of roads being shifted or?
Realign those roads.
the only thing that they're working on now is a reorientation of how 89 ties into 6. But as far as the rest of 89, it would remain
Okay.
the same.
There was a proposal from UDOT to do a little bit of straightening on that curve on Highway 6, wasn't there?
Yeah.
That'll change a
Ed
little
just
bit, yeah.
purchased the property across into Spanish Fork.
They have a development
so
going there too, so they're working with
they're
them on the
working on that.
realignment.
We would want our second station to be as close to 89 and 6 as possible, right?
Definitely 89.
Yeah.
My opinion on the central station, there's definitely trade-offs, and there isn't a central location in Mapleton that we have found that we could hit the NFPA standard of a 5-minute response time everywhere. So what we would be doing is, if we did a centralized fire station, which would save us money, the staffing, it would save staffing money. It would have to be built big, because it would be our only fire station for the whole city. It would probably need a 50-year lifespan, so we'd have to build it with it being a fire station that could support our growth as a city for the next 50 years. We could average response times better. We could take away some of the 10 and 11-minute on the south end, but some of the people that enjoy 2 or 3-minute response times now would be hurt. I don't think there's any place in town that we could actually pick, if money was no option and we could get any property we wanted. We would be lucky to average maybe a 7-minute response time across the city as a whole. So the northeast section of town especially would be hurt by response times, but it would kind of spread our response time across our city better. My vote is for a second station on the south end. I think it takes about 2 years to build, so I'm glad we're having this conversation and we're talking about things. I do think the elephant in the room is the distance. It's far. We've done the Google Drives, we've had call volume there. There's things that we can always do to improve that I'd be open on, but it's a far ride. Theron hit the nail on the head. It's a 10-minute drive to the farthest end. And if somebody's not breathing, that's too long. You can't hold your breath for 10 minutes. So if we can afford it and we can get there in time, I think that's the right choice. I also think that our staffing model would be based on the call volume at the time. So if we're looking at a discussion for the next year on the new station, and that's the direction we're heading, and gathering more data and figuring things out, if we pull the trigger to say, hey, today's the day we want to start meeting with an architect and building a station, we need to realize that the call volume will only increase for the next 2 years while we're building the station. And when we finally open it, that could, if we started talking about it now, it could be 2 to 3 years away. And having a crystal ball to know what that call volume is really tough.
Well, the Spanish Fork, I don't disagree with anything you said, but I think that gives particular conversation to Springville and Spanish Fork about making sure they know what our intentions are and saying we need to keep some of our staffing in-house. So you guys either beef up, pay people more, don't steal our people.
Under mutual aid, I don't know of many calls that our 11-minute response time on the south end is because we didn't have units available because they were in Springville.
Okay, that's good.
It's 11 minutes from our fire station
Yeah.
to the south end of town.
Yeah.
And so there are calls in Springville. It's 25% of our call volume, but it's mutual aid, and mutual aid gives us the ability to say no. And so there are times we say
Okay.
no. There's times we say yes, and.
So when we ramp up, we can say no when we.
Yep.
Okay.
And if
And not
we
be
have.
total
if-
jerks.
On, as far as the two stations versus central, we've had lots of conversation about that. I think that that's the direction we were leaning in our
Two?
retreat last, is to two, because we've got the, land donated to us and all that stuff. So I don't think that that's the issue. The issue is timing. And you're bringing it up, Nick, and talking about timing. And so the question is what is the timing? There's been lots of conversation about timing and all that. So the question is that we need to get on the same page. Do we have enough information for timing? Is the timing right now? Is it a year from now? Is it 2 years from now? What other information do you want to make a timing decision if you don't have it?
I'd like to see us create the needs assessment. So I've given a few examples of other data I'd like, but there's quite a few templates out there about what a needs assessment looks like that gives context.
I have an idea on that.
Yeah.
That I've already tasked them with, and I'll explain that. Is there anything else that you need to make, Casey, you're pretty hot on getting after it right now? Is there more data you need or want?
I'd like a little bit more data as well, but I'm glad that we're having this conversation. It feels like it's becoming a higher priority, which is.
Well, it's not, yeah.
Is it a higher priority, or has it just become one in recent months? Because,
Because of
I mean-
campaigning.
thank you, Reed. Thank you, Reed.
Yeah, like,
Elephant
it's
in the room,
it's
I
not,
see, right?
it's
Thank
not
you.
become a higher priority because we've been having our retreat every year.
I know,
Like,
it's just
It's been a
the
topic of
narrative
conversation.
has changed. Well, and the data isn't changing, but I also have the asterisks. I appreciate that the data maybe wasn't as robust last year. So
Yes.
I kind of don't want to, I think we move forward, do the needs assessment,
Yep.
bring that back, if we need, I don't see why it would take more than 3 months, frankly, to get stuff together. I think you've already done some of the back work, and these templates are great, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but it'll make the argument, it'll make the case publicly, because this is a tax dollar, big spend.
Yep.
And then there's a process to go bond for stuff. And so, yeah, it takes time.
The reason I bring up higher priority, one of the slides mentioned 5 to 10 years, and I don't think 10 years is acceptable. And Sean, you just mentioned 6 or 7,000 within 3 years or 4 years. That's where, for me, 10 years number isn't that's not where I am.
So what does,
so-
one question is, if for some reason the southern, adding on to the southern is not an option, the property owner's not wanting to
You
sell.
mean adding on to here,
To the
local, yeah.
south of the existing building,
Yeah.
does that change our opinions at all? Because what that does is then we have to solve the police problem
Right.
of where we
Yeah, that's right.
where we
Not
put the
necessarily.
police, right?
Because we've even talked about, okay, does the police problem become a different location across from the park, or does it, I don't.
We have
There's
some
a
land
solution to
It's
all
a
the
cost
things.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we'll have
Leslie,
another conversation if we don't get.
Leslie and Theron, is there any other information that you want or need above and beyond that to make?
Yeah, I think it would be wise to look at other cities and how they handle the staffing part of it, because to me, I foresee it as a taking baby steps. I don't think we need to shoot for fully staffed station down there by 2 years from now. I think we should look at what options we can do as far as a smaller staffing to ease into it cost-wise and staffing-wise. I think the data on that could be easily gleaned from many other cities that have done this.
We've done.
I'm
I
glad.
think we're already ahead of other cities, are we not, with our staffing?
Yes.
As we
Yeah.
get closer to that opening or that decision, we're only going to be gathering better
Right.
data. And so as we're opening more homes, we can see the jump in call volume, that this many
Yeah.
housetops equals this much call volume down there. We know we have a response time issue. And then if we were, when we talked about this, like, what does it look like to staff that station? We talked about the top, we talked about the bottom, but realistically, we would be saying, okay, we're 6 months away from opening. What's our data? What's our call type? What are we dealing with down there? What do we need to open this station up? And how are we going to spread the staffing between the two stations? I don't think that we can put a garage down there with a fire station and just, or a fire engine in it and expect, town volunteers to just staff it. That model hasn't worked in Springville. They have a garage with a fire engine in it that nobody goes to.
And Spanish Fork, because they're not responding to us.
No, I want to be clear, I'm not suggesting the bottom line and what Springville's doing, because I 100% agree
As
that
time-
that
and
is not
I
what we
agree with you
want.
completely. I think as we get closer, the data would be even better. And it wouldn't be just other cities' data, it would be our own data. We
Right.
would know what our call volume's at. We would see the jump from this data pull that we pulled to the next, just 6 months from now. We're going to have a better look at what new homes on the south end are doing.
And we'll have to
I
have
wanna
that
hit
for bonding anyway. You got to have all the budget for bonding, so we'll have to know.
Are we in a position where we're going to support a bond for something like this?
Not right now.
No, but
Yeah.
I mean.
I'd like to see the rough idea of a cost of the
I think you just
building.
showed you, I think you've got a
It's-
slide on that.
2 million.
What was it, 2?
There's 3 to 6.
No.
36%
that.
increase if you go with a central station, but that seems like that's out, right?
But what was the estimated cost of building a building?
3 to 6 million.
So if
A new
you,
building? You're
Yeah.
going to be somewhere around, a central building be 15 to 20
No,
million.
no, just the south one.
We do about 6 to
Six.
7 million
about 3 to
dollars.
6.
3 to 6.
And we were saying 2 million to maintain, is it 2 million?
It's
to maintain?
1.7 million.
That's what I'm,
Okay,
yeah,
but
so
that
ongoing
that
costs.
3 to 6 million is to build the building, that doesn't staff it and it doesn't
No.
equip it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
1.7 was the staffing, is that right?
Yeah, annual.
just staffing, not
Every year.
including the new chief.
Station, or it's not an engine, it's not an ambulance.
So
Go to
I,
the next
That
slide,
is not
Corey, we'll go to
including
the
any
next slide.
part-time either, that's
The
just 5.
1.7 is a fully staffed, full-time fire department down there, better staffing than we have now.
Would you
But we
put
went-
current engine, would you put one of our current engines
Yes, we would.
down
Yes.
there
We
for a
would
few
repurpose,
years?
Yep.
but what we went through in that scenario, Theron, what you're talking about, we've already done the numbers, it's 1.1 to 1.3 million is what we would need in staff to be able to staff it.
How many people is that equal?
That's
4?
the scenario, what is it, 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 3,
We
and
talk-
3? It's 5 total, right
I
there.
have a hard time telling you exactly what it is because we're talking about the future call volume that is.
Right.
No, but just assuming,
So
you
we
have to
talked
do more
about a
data.
low number.
We've got to get our heads in somewhere.
It's
right?
It's a,
I mean,
it's
I
a
guess-
million
$10
plus,
million
it's a
bond.
million 2, million 1, million 2.
Okay, but let's be very realistic here, and I've sat in these budget meetings. It starts out with, we're going to do this on the medium-level approach, right, or a phased approach. We're going to have some part-time people here, and it works great. Before we know it, by the next budget season, what do we have? All of the reasons why that's not working. So now we have to fund another full-time person. That's what we've done for 6 years. So if we're talking about a fully staffed station, let's just be honest about it. That's the end goal, right?
It could-
Yes.
well,
That is the end goal.
No.
Yes,
I-
but we've already
on
had
my
this
goal-
discussion, and you're right, we've had this discussion, us 4 and others, 5, and you're not wrong, you're right. What it ends up being is we say, look, let's be realistic. It's $1 million to get the right people, to get the right staff. We've taken
That's
our
right.
existing staff saying, what's realistic, what's there? So that's what it is. That's what you need to run with for now. It's not going, it could be a hair less, could be a hair more, but it's right there. It's $1 million, $1.1 million, something like that. So end of story, that's what it's going to be. You guys know Chief Style, he doesn't want to skimp, he doesn't want to do it halfway, he does nothing halfway. He wants to do it right, get it in there, and so that's what it's going to be. So if we're in a position where we're willing to go bond for a second fire station, unless there's other ideas, money we don't know about that's somewhere, are we in a position where we're willing to look at that and start down that road with the data? Because here's the way I see it. It's not that difficult. It's similar to anything else we have to make decisions on. Jessica's right. You have to make a decision when you're going to spend tax dollars, right? When is that decision? Is 7 minutes too long, or is that sufficient for now? That's the question you have to ask. Is 5.5 minutes, 5 minutes, 52 seconds too long, or is that sufficient right now? It's an average. What does average mean? Well, you're going to have some 11 and 12s. You're also going to have some 2s and 3s. That's how you come up with an average, right? Are we all on the same page there?
Yep.
So when you're talking about going to find another $1.1 to $1.2 million annually committed, where are you going to get it? Does anybody have an idea? Today. Where are you going to get it in 2 years from now? It's not there.
I don't think
There's no excess in
to
the
me, I don't
budget.
think that's the question. I think the question that brought us here was, do we need a second station, or do we need a centralized station? And then, do we need a second station before any of our other facility needs? I think that's the question.
My
that-
question
that
last
came.
time was, has anybody found all the money that I'm hearing about?
Yeah,
So
that's-
the money's a
So,
big
so
deal.
you cannot shy away from the fact that if you open the station, you're going to go down there. You need to plan to have 1.2, right? $1.1 million sitting there to start paying staff. Is that, am I off basis here?
Every year.
Yeah, that's every year committed. Am I off basis here?
I think, I personally believe that number's high, but you're not off base on the concept.
We went through it with Chief Glasgow, and we labeled it out personnel, based on today's rates of what we pay.
Awesome. I haven't seen any of that data yet.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, if we provide it, and it's $1 million, you have to come up with some amount of money. My question is, where are you going to get it? You either got to raise fees, so you got to create fees, or raise taxes, right? I don't know any way to get it. Do you guys have an idea? Okay, because it's not just, it doesn't just show up, unless someone's going to donate it.
I got naming rights.
So I'm not saying we don't do this, that's not what I'm saying. But here's what I am saying.
Solve the problem.
Is that you're going to have to make a decision. When are the response times not good enough for us to be able to go out and create fees and raise taxes to come up with the money? Because you don't just go build the building and be like, oh yeah, at one point we'll staff it, like Springville did. We're not doing that. Nick has no desire to do that.
Neither
It
do
doesn't
I.
help us, it doesn't fix our response times.
Neither do
So
I.
you have to make that decision up front and say, we're going to go find the money, okay? So either we're going to reduce the service we have somewhere else and save money, and save from that, and apply it here, or you're going to have to go get more money. Are we on the same page there?
Yep.
I mean, I don't think that that's a hidden. Okay, so if that's the case, then you got to go out and find the money. If we expanded the building here, we're talking $3 to $3.5 million. By the time we had the land for $700,000, do the expansion, fix the police problem, get our fire in there right way. In 3-4 years from now, could we repurpose that to fiber building? Yeah, we could. It's got the bay doors. There's some things we talked about we could do during construction where if we did have some places to stay for our firefighters, we could repurpose that for other things that we need for fiber and growth instead of building another building. Yes, that's an option. And that solves an immediate problem.
I like,
Then you go down, the other option is go down there and spend the $6 or $7 million now, which we'd have to bond for. We don't have the money for it. Right? Are we all on the same page there? Unless somebody has some hidden money somewhere. I don't know.
not it.
Okay, no. So we'd have to go bond for it. We go bond for the building. And could we pay some of that back in impact fees? Yes, a portion of it, although we're down the road quite a ways on impact fees, and we may get a piece of that back, according to the study. Okay, so you have the annual cost, you got to go do it. So the question is this. You have this curve, this graph that's going. You spend all this money, they're going to have a question, where are we compared to other cities? We're heads and shoulders above all other cities. We study Salem, Spanish Fork, Santaquin, Springville, Payson. We have a study on what they have for staffing, how much they spend, what their data is, and we're heads and shoulders
Let me just
above them.
clarify, that wasn't my question, and I already know that information. I'm saying some other city that has staffed a station with minimal staffing and has been able to service their community
What does it
with a
look like?
reasonable
Yes.
amount of
Chief-
things.
Chief
That's
Gotcha.
all I
Have
was
you-
saying.
I don't know if you've
So
thought
we-
about that.
Yeah, so Springville, that's right. So we have this graph that shows we went and spent all this money and made the decision to do what we did, which was the right decision. We spent extra money out of our budget to get there. Now the growth is catching up. The question is those two lines cross. Are we at the crossroads of saying, okay, we might have to deal with some longer response times until we build a bigger budget, get the money there, then boom, we spend the money and then it crosses again, and maybe we over provide our service, oversubscribed our service, and then it catches again. That's the curve. The question you're going to have to ask yourself is, at what point are you willing to spend tax dollars to do that? Are we at a call volume today that you're ready to say, no, we got to pull the trigger, we got to build the building right now? That's the
like-
question.
That's part of the
Today,
timing.
setting
today,
our
no,
goals.
nobody's saying that it has
So
to be
then,
today.
the data that we're going to come back with is that data showing, we know how many building permits are being pulled. We can forecast that over the next 2, 5, 7, and 10 years. It could be off, it could be more, it could be a little less, right? Depending on the market and the economy.
Best available
So then,
evidence.
that's right. So we bring that in, then you do the percentages. X amount of number will be in the southern portion based on the X amount of calls we're getting, percentage of calls based on the population today. You apply that percentage to the population in 2 years, and 5 years, and 7 years, and 10 years, and then you say, by 2 years from now, you'll have 55 calls south of there that will take you 9 minutes. In 5 years from now, you'll have 75 that will take you 9 minutes. Then the council's got to make a decision. That's too many calls at 9 minutes or 11 minutes, whatever the case is. We're willing now to either go raise taxes, to find money in the budget, to bring money from another budget line item to get it. That's the decision you're going to have to make. But I don't think you can make that decision today based on the information we have is great, but you have to come up with some forecast to do it. You can't just say, well, I feel like the drive's too long, so let's spend the money, let's do it. Well, I feel like it, takes me too long to get here. What is that? You're going to go tell a taxpayer you're going to spend their money based on that? No. You have to get the real data. And that's why, based on the retreat that we had, we're going down the right road. And now we're to a point where the growth is higher, the building permits are higher. Put the data together and say, I don't know what everybody's tolerance is today, and maybe in 3 months it's different than today. But you're going to have to make a decision on tolerance of, I think that's too many calls at that time.
If 80%.
Or I don't think it is, and I think it's sufficient. Now, if you go study Spanish Fork and Springville and how long it took them to go from volunteer, you're going to be, and I know that we've had this conversation, you can't compare us to those cities because we're in a different position. We made decisions they weren't willing to make, and we're way ahead of them. So, but you can say, what is the response time that I'm willing to stick with based on what it's going to cost the taxpayers?
Yeah, If
That's what you have to ask.
80%,
That's right.
if you say, if 80% are under 7 minutes, we're good. We just have to put that stake in the sand, but we need it to be in the sand based on what our public safety department also chooses good enough. We got to all be on the same
That's right,
page.
that's right. And then I already know Chief Glasgow, what he's going to go for, because this is who he is. He's going to go for the best, and that's why we've got him. He pushes for the best, he's got great guys, and that's what we want, and we want to be the best. And then you're going to have to make a decision based on how much money you're going to spend, that's it. So it's not just going to show up.
Yeah, timing.
So I think if we can gather that data in the next couple of months and bring it and say, here in 2027, 2029, 2031, here's what your call volume is going to look like and what you can anticipate your response times to be, that's good data. You can say, no, I'm not okay with that response time, or actually I am. Now, if you compare yourself to Spanish Fork, we're going to be okay with that response time for a long time. We just will, right? Right, Jeremy? We will. If you're saying, hey, I'm willing to go to the response times of them, hey, we can make it another 6, 7, 8, 10 years maybe, right? But the council may not be okay with that. But we need to have that data and information to be able to make that decision.
Mayor, I think Reed had a comment.
That's what I was going to say. You know, we've got Spanish Fork that's 3 or 4 times the population, more streets and everything, and they can't make 2 stations work. They've got a $200 million budget, and we don't.
That's right.
We've got to.
That's the decision you'll have to make. That's right.
We've got to look at that.
Yep.
It's the same with Springville. And I think our existing station's about the same size as Spanish Fork's main station on Main Street and also Springville's. So, you know, there's some similarities there on the size of the station, isn't there?
Yeah. So that's the
Same number of bays, the same length. I mean, they look the same from the same.
I don't think there's any huge needs for fire on that one. It's more building it so that we can move out so PD can take over our area.
Yeah, that's a problem that we're trying to solve sooner than later, which means you
That's
just
a way
build
more,
them on the other
very,
side.
much more immediate problem that's very easy to define, and I think we need to certainly prioritize solving that problem first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it doesn't put us in a position where we're spending good money after bad. It provides an opportunity to use the building later. But
Well,
that will be the decision in front of you here real shortly.
Well, and I think staffing, the question about staffing a station, I don't know the word that you used, moderately staffing it or minimally staffing it? I don't know what the word was that you used.
I don't know what.
But I
you're-
guess, I mean, Springville probably does that right now, and they're able to do it because we do 25% of their calls, right? So I mean, that's the answer to that question as far as I see it.
I think the data collection would be great, and I'm glad we're having this discussion. I'm glad it's out in front of everybody to, you know, that it's definitely an item we need to have on our radar. We do have some staffing issues right now that we've also talked about that are more pressing than the building the second station, but I'm really glad that we're talking about the station and that the discussion's happening, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
So what is the steps, what is that process of having those conversations with Springville about the 25% that we're covering? I mean, I'm being very honest about that,
Say, let's
about
let the
that
mayor or
question.
myself. or-
Yeah, we just have those conversations directly with them.
Because as we're staffing
Yeah.
up, we got to, that's really a piece of our decision, I
Sure.
believe.
We can choose to say no.
Yeah, you have to,
should.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we obviously want to
be a
maintain our
jerk,
good working relationship with them. And heaven forbid, if we ever needed their help, we want it. And we want.
They were one of the 17
And they were one of the
departments
ones that
that-
showed up to the fire.
Mountain.
You know, so it's a give and take. They get it. It's not a secret to them. It's just having some more conversation about it. Hey, we're going to go back to our taxpayers and it's no different than what they're dealing with the $85 million rec center in Spanish Fork right now. Or the one in Springville where everyone says.
85.
Yeah, where everyone says, well, Springville ought to give us access to their amenities better, and if we have a better relationship with them, they would. It's silly. Those are taxpayers that are paying for us. You have to acknowledge that And I just had a meeting with the whole Spanish Fork City Administration 2 weeks ago about this, and they're making plans on how to open their rec center, which I've got some good news on for our city. But it's a give and take, and the taxpayers that are there paying their taxes, and you have to acknowledge that. But they know what's going on. It's just having more conversation about it. If we're going to spend more money from our taxpayer base here, that we're just letting them know. It's not a threat to them, and it's not a dig on them. They get it. They'd be doing the same thing with us. So
It's just
having those
seeing that
conversations.
number rather than increase by 6% in 2024, let's see that percentage decrease.
Yeah.
That's all.
I have a concluding comment if you guys are done. I'm not trying to hurry you. Like, there's no football games on or
You guys
anything.
are done.
Oh, I just wanted to tell you something that went through my mind as and he's right, going through this data one by one, there's got to be a better way. It was hours.
There is a better way.
But I started to, and I want to say this with the chief here, I reflected on where public safeties came in the last 7 to 10 years. I want to tell you from the police department side that they're well-equipped. They all have brand-new bulletproof vests. They have new guns. They have nice trucks. Our building, yes, we need to expand some police side, but I know that's in front of you
Here,
guys.
we need a new bite suit.
Yeah, we need a new bite suit. On the fire side, and Chief can kick me if I'm wrong here, but although there are some problems with equipment once in a while, which is typical, that's some pretty nice equipment we have over there. We have new ambulances, new engines, at least in my time here. I feel 100% supported by the council, the mayor, and I have every minute that I've worked here, and I just want you guys to know that I appreciate that, and I hope the rest of the public safety department feels the same way, because you guys, when we bring an issue to you, you dive into it with data, with stuff, and I appreciate that. Casey, I'm going to kind of throw you under the bus a little bit here, but Casey wanted to go for a ride on the side-by-side, and we had a chance to visit with some residents and on the trail, and when I was in the side-by-side, I'm like, not everybody gets to drive a side-by-side around during the day. We have some good stuff and some good things going over there. So with Chief Glasgow, I appreciate the conversation. I'm 100% supportive of this being in front of you. I think everybody's on the same page. It's just a timing thing. But I do want to say, just to you publicly, I feel 100% supported by the mayor and council, always have. So,
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, both of you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for all your hard work.
Station.
We'll stick with it. Awesome. Okay, let's go to administrative reports. Logan, you want to go first? Thanks, Jeremy.
All right, one quick one since we're into discussions. Let's just keep having discussions. So I wanted to just bring some stuff to you with Moonlight Half. I want to preface this with, I don't expect any answer from you guys tonight. I just am simply providing information, and then at a later point, probably in a retreat or some different setting, we can talk more in depth on what it is. But the basis of what it is you can see just year over year for runners. This year, we had about a 35% decrease in runners from last year. And then as you see, starting back in 2018, obviously COVID was not a great year, but even 2019, 62 runners, 2021, 78. Just not a lot of runners for the race, especially if you compare our race to other races. And then another key statistic is our resident participation rate is about 30%. So this race costs a lot of money. Our average budget is about $14,500. That is just general fund money expense. Then you add on top our staffing, which this year exceeded a little over $6,000. So total expenses was about $21,000, and revenues with our partnerships and fees was about $15,000. So we were operating about $5,500 in the hole. So I want to bring all this data because I think it's time that we really have a really intentional conversation about this and fundamentally what it is and the money that is spent as we're talking taxpayer dollar. I do feel like there may be other events or even current events that we do that we could take some of this money and put towards and elevate that experience. And then just a couple other things with it. The running market is very saturated. One thing that we've tried to ask some of our runners is, why we don't maybe get a lot of people. It's not an official timed race. They literally just have to do it out of the joy of running, and I've recently started running, and I don't enjoy it that much. So it is definitely something that there's really not any tangible thing they get other than the great food and a cool medal and a little bit of a party. There are definitely some safety concerns that have come, and part of that is just every year it seems like we're getting more and more people on the route, things that are happening, things that are getting thrown at runners, all sorts of different things. The permits, working through Springville City, Utah County, and UDOT, it's not that they're hard to work with, it's just the process we go through, again, for what it is. So some options on the table that I'd like you to consider, and again, just, you know, I don't know if you want to go out and ask your neighbors and your friends and see if we're off our rocker here. You know, possibly just getting rid of it, allocating those funds to other events. We could pivot to a 5K, 10K. You know, that model is a little bit more consistent with families, and hopefully people that maybe don't run could still come out and do a 5K and walk it and bring the kids out and do it. Or we could make it a timed race, end it earlier instead of the midnight. So there's options on the table. I just wanted to, you know, this year went great. It was an awesome turnout for those that did show up. Thank you to those that helped at the aid stations and throughout the night. I feel like there's nothing that went wrong with it. I just fundamentally, when you look at it, I just think there's a lot better things that we could use our taxpayer dollars towards that would benefit our community.
So Logan, as we talked about this, obviously today, just give them the information, when do you want to get back with them as far as getting some answers?
Just as soon as we solidify a retreat date, I want to have a little bit more intentional.
So you're okay into that?
Yeah, there's no pressure, no rush on our side. Because we want to do our studying on our side, you know, talking data. We want to get more data and see what those options are. But just wanted you to.
Yeah, kind of reach out to your neighbors and friends to
You know
show
my
them.
Well, and
opinion.
we've
I
got
talked to you
email
6 years ago.
addresses.
You know what my opinion is.
Yeah.
We've got email addresses from everybody who does it. I'd be curious what their feedback is if they had to rank their preferences. I mean, I'd love to see that information.
Yeah, and
'cause we talk to them. We talk to, Theron and I are, you know, have a good time up there, but the people love it. People who do it love it. Now, I totally agree. You could switch to a timed race. You could start earlier. It doesn't have to be the midnight. It could just be moonlight.
Yep.
So yes, I think there are some tweaks. I think there are some marketing and communication strategies. I talked to a couple people in other cities, and they were like, man, if I would have known about that, I would have come too. So I think I would love to see us try a few things for next year. And, you know, it's possible this is an outlier because your trend over time is actually increasing. This might have been just
But
an
the
oddity, so-
percentage of residents,
That's-
Mapleton
that-
residents,
the
hasn't
groups
changed in 6
I
years.
drove back and forth were from Washington, believe it or not, and then Texas. So there wasn't a Mapleton resident on the bus I drove back
Oh,
and
really?
forth.
That's
So
interesting. So, you
Logan,
know,
that's
I
the
don't want to
percentage
lose
for
money.
the last number of years, huh? It's
Yeah,
about
it's
25 to
hovered-
30%.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I don't want to lose money on it, but I love the idea of more family-friendly options, which
Yeah.
might also connect with the earlier options. But I think we would be able to promote it in a different way.
And I should
too.
note, they were BYU, UVU kids, so, but that's where they grew up, was
Parents of young families aren't up
That's
at
a
midnight.
different situation. Well,
Yeah, and we do, to that point, I can bring back some other additional data that we collect when they do register. This is the first year we've done paid promotions on the race, so I do feel like, you know, and Jacqueline's done a great job since she's been hired. The trend definitely has gone up, which is awesome. But I can bring some of that stuff back too to
I'm
help.
sure there's a lot we can learn and then try but yeah, I don't want to lose a ton of money, but
Yeah.
the feedback we get from people who've run it every year, it is a very big community spirit thing of the people who know about it. So I think there's probably some different strategies.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a good time just cheering for them, so.
Yeah,
Giving
no.
them goo.
No.
Yeah, I agree with what she said. I think the excitement is awesome, and the local resident involvement is a little disheartening. But I have heard comments about the layout and the structure, and so I think we have room to tweak that a little bit and make it more appealing.
Yeah.
I think there's some things that we can try to make it better and more affordable.
Yeah,
I'd
perfect.
be interested why some of the people who ran last year didn't come back. That's
Yeah.
the audience I would go to.
Yeah.
Why didn't you register this year?
Yeah.
And then you'll learn real fast what the priorities to adjust would
About
be.
60% of those ran the Nebo half in full the next day.
Yeah.
So we do know that. There was
Yeah, you can learn from
a
them.
big
Why not?
race the next day, so.
Timing was a problem then.
Yeah, and they chose the Nebo half because it was a timed race. So,
Bring a proposal.
yeah, so, yeah. Perfect. And then just real quick, the city park, moving right along. As you can see, lots of things are getting dug up. We're doing our best to preserve as much of the trees, and we did a lot of injections and fertilizers and growth regulators and things to help with them. So I'm confident that we've taken some steps. Obviously, there's always that chance.
I noticed the Scarecrow Festival sign says the city's park still. Are you going to duct tape it with the, because it's coming here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and that was what was on my next one, was the Scarecrow on October 11th is moved here. I wasn't aware on the posters, or the banners, so I will make
I
a
saw it
note.
when I was coming here tonight, I was on the corner. It says, at the city park. I'm like,
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I'll make sure we get that
Thank
that
you.
off. So, and then one thing that'll be a little bit different too this year with the community pumpkin night in the patch down at the cemetery, and working with Jake Harward, he would like to see a little bit more oversight prioritizing Mapleton residents. So similar to what we've done with the dumpster pass, we'll have a voucher that will be in the newsletter. They can come to City Hall, they can come to the event before, but he had requested that we try to do something to try to make sure that our Mapleton folks
I love that
get the
idea.
pumpkins.
That's great.
So he's obviously a great partner in it, and so. you
Yeah,
say something.
Jake and I have had this conversation for a couple of years, and I think the word's gotten out now. In the very beginning, the first 3 years we did it, when Jake and I decided to give the pumpkins to the public, there was these concerns, and now that the word spread, now we got to, you're exactly right, make sure that the people that live here get the benefit that we wanted to give them.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'll just say, no, we won't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
and
Or I'll just put a price on them, and
People are downright rude.
yeah, I say Camille and I can attest to some of the
It's-
fun conversations that go on.
it's like giving free car washes. They'll find something to complain about. I'm better off not being there, like, because people just,
Yeah.
So, and that's not everybody, but I think that most people that go there that live here are probably grateful, and so
Yeah.
if we give them something that gets them free 3 pumpkins or whatever we decide the number is, I think I'm willing to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And
Will they be sold to non-residents?
Yes.
yes.
They
so
will be
can
off,
buy 'em.
okay, they
Yep.
can buy them.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, so, and we'll do our part to the messaging standpoint of trying to get it out to folks. Obviously, social media is a big one. It will be in the newsletter.
The first year's going to be hard. You might need to subtly allow driver's licenses with addresses or
Yep.
bill.
Yep, and that'll be part of the messaging is, there will be some leniency this year, but please be prepared for, some sort of proof. So, because we've asked, and some are great, and some are like, why are you asking me that? And then it's not worth the fight, so. And then just a couple other quick notes. November 6th is our Veterans Drive, and then December 1st will be our Lights On over at City Park. And then other than that, we've just got fall programming, and our park staff is doing a good job keeping things as good as they can look, so.
hey, good job. Thanks, Logan. Nice work. Bryce, you got anything for us tonight?
We got nothing for him.
So I want to step on Reed's toes, but we had our South Utah Valley Solid Waste District meeting today for the TAC meeting, so just their technical and accounting support meeting. Just some fun facts. They did 8,000 tons of curbside pickup and from Mapleton City, and 2,000 tons of residential drop-off. So that gives us an idea of how much we're taking down to the transfer station. And we make up 12% of the residential curbside pickup of the district. So one thing they did mention was they feel a bigger urgency right now to increase their residential drop-off, so people taking garbage to the transfer station. They think that could be a bigger revenue source for them. And and I can talk with Corey about this, but they want the cities to do more social media outreach with that. They'll be providing a video, and we can start.
Let's use that couch as a sample.
I think Reed did.
Do?
That's it for me.
Okay, thanks, Bryce. Appreciate it, Chief.
We're just getting started. I got a list of about 15 things here for you.
Nah.
Very good.
I don't, real quick. Public Safety Night Out is so fun. Thank you for getting in the bite suit. You guys have battle marks on your arms if you haven't seen them. I'm sure the arms there, and you were down there. Casey, I know you were out of town. Leslie, you're down there. Anyway, thanks to Logan for letting us use his park. That was fun at Harvest Park. I thought that was fun to have something down there on the west side. So thank you guys for coming out for that. Second thing is, our next community preparedness event will be in November. It's a self-reliance fair. It's to be a Saturday morning event, so that'll be fun. And then the last thing, I want to just tell you guys a couple of overtime issues that have come up the last couple weeks as far as what we've spent some overtime on. The first one I want to lead into is, Reed, thank you for going up on the bench on your own time and picking up trash and removing couches and stuff that's just been discarded on our bench up there. That was really nice of you to do that. We've had some follow-up meetings after the fire last week, and that was one of the issues, is how do we get all that cleaned up there? And I've been told that you've been up there on your own with the trailer hauling a lot of garbage out of there, so thank you for doing that.
I was going to add to that, so Mayor's given us a few assignments. We're working with the different departments to come back to the council with some proposals of what we can do up there to try to mitigate that interest from some of these youth going up there and doing what Reed showed today with those couches and trampolines and
Barbed wire.
Yeah, thank you, Corey, for overseeing that. We've got that to deal with. We have the opportunity to use what's called beer tax money. Any beer that's bought in Mapleton, we get a portion of that money to be used in alcohol enforcement. So we got approval to use some of that overtime for enforcement on our trail and up on the bench. So the last couple weekends, we've paid an officer to come out and work the trail and up on the bench. Major complaint is the Surons on the trail. I'm sure you guys are hearing them too. Anyway, Surons, the e-bikes. Yeah, the fast electric bikes. So we've paid some overtime out. Sorry, Reed?
There's speed limit on the trail?
There's not.
I thought it was 15.
Well, it shouldn't even be on the trail. It's not even allowed on the trail at all.
Okay, is it?
It's a motorized vehicle, so, yeah, and I love to walk the trail. I'm seeing them too. I know it's an issue, so we are paying people to come out, but it's not our overtime. The other overtime is the unfortunate thing that happened last week. We had officers at UVU until Sunday morning, and it sounds like there's going to be some more shifts come up in the next week or so where they're going to need officers over there doing some things. So every agency in the county is doing that, but it does come at a little bit of an expense. So I just wanted you to know that we did have officers over there all weekend, and there is some expense that comes with that. So I can feel Bryce just eyes beating on me, but when the budget opens up, we'll probably have to address that. So thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it. Thanks for all your work with that unfortunate situation we face, so. All right, Sean. Rob?
Just some project updates. Unfortunately, I told you wrong last time. I told you we would be done by last week on the water line out on the highway. That was me misunderstanding the information that I was given. So there was some paving that was done, and we did make the final main line connection. But they are out doing relaying the laterals out to the properties along that right now, and then next week we'll do the mill and overlay on the project. 800 North is going along, and the 800 West project are both being done by the same contractor. Yep, and thank you. And they're moving along as fast as they can with needing some of the utilities moved out of the way by fiber and Rocky Mountain Power. But we're working around that and still on track to have our stuff paved by middle of October. And then we've been working with UDOT on the 800 North project. They're going to be doing some fiber or laying the bore on the lines underneath the highway either the end of this week or early next week. And then they'll come in right behind us and start building the signals. 800 West, if I haven't mentioned it before, is also going to have a pedestrian crossing on the east leg of that intersection going across Maple Street. And they are going to, UDOT is going to install a rapid flashing beacon. It's the one where you push the button and have it flash. It's maybe 8 or 10 feet up, the flashing lights. We have our miscellaneous roadways project that you just approved that will get started either later this week or, but by the end of this week or early next week and get those done. That'll include some work out on 1600 North. And then once we get that work done on 1600 North, we'll restripe all of West 1600 North. I know we've had a few people call in about that, and so just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that. We're just waiting to get that done so that we don't paint a portion of it, do some more work, cover it all up with black and then repaint it again. So, and then the 800 West project, was just going to be closed for this week. And of course, the gas line was exactly in the middle of where we needed to put the pipe. Took a few days to get Enbridge out here. We joke that, if you hit it and rip it, they're out in about 5 minutes. But if you're not willing to take that risk, then you're at their
5
mercy.
days.
So anyways, they just got that fixed. And so the car contractor can move forward on getting that finished up and opened up and then continue on with the project. But that's also on track to be done by middle of October.
Great, good job. We'll be done in 2 months, sounds like, wrapping it all up. Good work. All right, Reed.
You heard a little bit about the transfer station, so thank you. I appreciate that. And the seniors seem to be doing well. They're happy back together, and there seem to be lots more interest in their meals, too.
Awesome. Okay, thanks,
They
Reed.
appreciate the budget that we give them. That's used wisely.
Great. Excellent. Jessica?
Oh, Chief touched on some of the events. Anyone going to ULCT October 1st and 2nd? Do we have staff going? I should sit closer to the mic. I should follow the rules. Do we have anybody else going to League on October 1st?
To the conference, I'm going.
Yeah, so we've gone. I was going to note on that too, we got
Yeah.
council that October 1st, do we want to try to avoid city council that night so we can,
It's a little tricky to get back from
Yep.
Salt Lake for it, so,
we'll plan that, we'll try our best as a staff to,
yeah, if there's a tricky agenda, then we can all
Okay.
get back or be on the phone. Or
yeah, that's
same with
October 1st and 2nd.
Okay, so pending on that one. And then how about the National League meeting, November 19th through 22? That's in Salt Lake? Anybody going?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think it's just such a different opportunity. I don't know if any of you have ever been, but I've never been to talking to people around the United States about their cities and best practices. Sounds pretty rad to me. Couple things with legislature that we're ramping up for. Some of the same old, but the draft of the detached accessory dwelling units is kind of interesting right now. One of the things I actually love in the proposed language, and I know the league has a survey out, if you get their emails, they want all the cities to answer those.
Sean's working on that one, yeah.
Okay, great. I hope this language sticks because there's a note that when the city drafts their detached, their DADU language, that you can have a 90-day minimum allowed. So it'll totally comply with what we've done with short-term rentals. So I'm hopeful that sticks. Interesting language about your property owner can either be in the detached unit or in the primary home, which I actually hadn't really thought about. So some interesting things with that. There's some interesting liability issues about emergency medical technicians that public safety will need to keep a watch on. Have you seen
Aaron, did they
this
reach
one?
out to you then to?
No, not yet, but I expressed concern
Yeah,
about that
seen
in
that.
that memo, in the notes, and
Oh, were you online?
Mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
I seen you
So
respond.
basically, this one is, there's a lawsuit that happened at the district level where a gentleman had an issue. He was treated by emergency personnel. They said he was fine. Then he went back to the doctor and had some major heart issue and needed a transplant. So he was suing to say, you misdiagnosed me. The district court ruled that he was covered because you can't sue somebody for that they're exempt from that. But then the Supreme Court came back and said, well, no, it's only an emergency medical situation if it's a fight or a natural disaster or some list of things, and that you can sue an emergency medical provider because emergency service at your home isn't an emergency. It's very confusing. And anyhow, so the league brought this up because there could be huge implications to public safety, budgets, litigation, risk
it's
management.
very
all that.
concerning, yeah.
Yeah,
big time.
yeah. It was kind of, I don't think it was buried in there or anything. I mean, I'm thankful they brought this to the surface because I never would have caught it otherwise. So it's something to watch for sure there. We did get some feedback from a resident who had a good suggestion about increasing signage at parks. So Logan, this would be probably a Parks and Rec and a public safety one about reminders of our ordinances of no dogs off leash, especially Nick's. Just
He was on a leash, she was on a leash.
She was on a leash. It wasn't very tight. Leash, what we had, the leash reminders, ordinances about electric vehicles on grass, something. And I agree. I think we don't have good signage to just remind people about what our existing ordinances are. So if there's an opportunity in a budget to increase signage, I'd be supportive of that too. So I don't know what it looks like or anything, but we had that feedback and I thought, well, duh, let's put some signage up. So that's it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jessica. Casey?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Leslie? Theron?
Nope, nothing for me.
All right, Camille? Corey, nothing? Wow. All right, look for a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion by
I'll take it.
Councilmember Egbert and a second by Councilman Carlson. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Yes. Yes. Yes.